Hello. Hello, everybody. It's that time again. Time again where I tell you, okay? It's that time again. I don't quite remember exactly how we did everything for the last story time, but I mean, we'll figure it out. Last time we did a story time, it was Denko Saga. We right and proper fucking just traumatized everybody who was here. Maybe that's why nobody's fucking here. They're afraid it's gonna be another Denko. They don't realize this was a story that was actually written by somebody from chat. They don't realize it was a story created by one of their own. Last time I do a fucking poll. Last time I give anybody a fucking voice. Like, every time I do a poll, every other time I do a poll, it's like something gets votes, and then I'll do that thing, and like fucking, I get fucking ghosted the day of. Like, fuck you assholes. Anyway, the reason we're starting late tonight is because I was waiting on some IRL shit to happen. It hasn't happened yet. Might get interrupted a little bit during the stream. We'll see how it goes. Hopefully not, but just, it might happen. Beyond that, should be okay. Everything should be mostly fine. Maybe we'll go on a little longer than we originally intended, just so we can get the full, intended experience. Anyway, let's get on over to over here. Got a new meme. We got a new meme. It's not just Kokasa here. Somebody else. Somebody else. Who is that somebody else? I don't know. We're gonna have to read this story, find out together. Anyway. Presently, I think Bob is the only one here. Bob is intimately familiar with the story we're gonna be reading now. He should be, he wrote it. But just for anybody who may be watching the VOD later, or might tune in at some point now, background information. So this is, what would you call this? What would, like, if you gave this a title, Bob, what would it be? I've always just called it post fantasy. Would you just call it the same? While I wait for that answer, this is a Touhou fanfic, an interactive Touhou fanfic. Interactive in the sense that it's sort of like a choose your own adventure kind of dealio. So Bob will write a portion, give you a choice at the end, and anybody reading will make their choices. He'll tally up. Touhou post fantasy story, but post fantasy works as shorthand. Okay, so Touhou a post fantasy story. So maybe I should change the title of the stream here. Okay. Okay, that helps. Post fantasy story. Change this stream title. Excuse me. Okay. So the idea is he'll write a portion, and then you would read it, and then there'd be choices at the end. Or commonly there are choices at the end. Sometimes there's a bit more events that unfold before you get a choice. But commonly there will be choices at the end, and you would cast your vote, basically. Like, pick which choice you want. And then among whoever happens to be reading, he would take those choices, tally them up. Whichever one got the most votes would be the winner. That would be the one he goes with. So that would be like basically his prompt to continue the story, basically. It's more or less a choose your own adventure kind of fanfic. As far as I'm aware, I think online in certain spaces they refer to these as quests. I'm not as familiar with those spaces as Bob is, but I mean, hey, that's part of the appeal of it. To me, I think it's the interactive element. I was gonna do a whole write-up, but I didn't have any fucking time today to do it. So I'm gonna try and speak from the heart and try and kind of lay down some of the background info here. So I think originally This is based on because like I think he posted a story on Discord on the Executive Discord server. So I guess like if anybody pops in and is curious about that during the stream, I can drop an invite link in the chat. We're not going to get through the whole story tonight. We're extremely not going to get through the whole story tonight. It's not super long, but it's long enough that I don't think one stream is going to cover it. We're maybe going to do like the prologue and maybe up to like the end of chapter 2. That's what I'm predicting. We'll see, but I think that's about as far as we're going to get. We're probably not going to touch on too many of the side chapters because there are side story chapters too. But for the main story, I think we're going to probably end up covering like the prologue in chapter 2. So I think it started life, like it started out as what, like you conceptualized it originally as like a crossover of Touhou and like a certain magical index or like certain scientific railgun accelerator, like that Kazuma Kamachi's fictional universe, because they've all got like a bunch of different fucking titles. Isn't there another spin-off now? I've been after chapter 2 things start getting exponentially longer a little bit. It was originally like a Raildex and Touhou crossover, yeah. And then the way you laid out the idea, I completely forgot that I said this to you, but like the way you laid out the idea was, it seemed like you could have just gotten away with putting this thing in like its own setting and it would have been like fine. Like it didn't need to be married to Index or whatever. And then you took that and fucking ran with it. Like I think I looked back at the Discord chat, literally the same day you were writing the prologue, or like the next day. One more piece of background information, because this is part of like the setup. This is part of like the information that Bob sort of made known before he really started writing, is the allotment system, which is basically a system in the story, or you want to call it a game. I guess you can call it a game. It's kind of like a game, not really. I mean, I guess like Choose Your Own Adventure story is sort of like a game, right? Because you pick your options and you deal with the consequences. Or it's sort of like a visual novel, like the good kind of visual novel, like not like a shitty kinetic novel. So the allotment system is basically, the idea is you have like this system, and because the premise of the story is that it takes place in the far future, when like there's no Kensokyo, there's no more magic, there's no more fantasy. And there's this device. This device exists in the future for this random shrine maiden who happens to be like descended from Reimu somehow. Happens to have like a family heirloom, kind of. And did I put us on live chat? I don't think we did. Let's get rid of these still faces. We're not on live chat. Let me fix that real quick. So she has this like family heirloom. She has this this thing. And what this thing does, what this device does, is it kind of projects the Touhous, their abilities, into the future for this shrine maiden to use. And the allotment system is sort of like, okay, how many points of which Touhou does she want to apply to herself to get whatever skills? I originally found the system to be extremely confusing because it was never really laid out very well for me. Until eventually I just started kind of thinking of it like the orbment system in Trails, like in Trails in the Sky and Crossbell games specifically. And then suddenly it kind of sort of started to click. I wouldn't say it works exactly like that, but it's kind of sort of like that. In the sense that the more points you have invested in a particular Touhou, so like the higher Sepith value you have for a particular element in Trails in the Sky, the more likely you are to have like a certain art. So in this case, it'd be a certain skill. It's kind of similar. I don't think they work exactly the same. It's a shockingly accurate parallel from what you've been experiencing in Sky. Okay, cool. I'm glad to know that I was not like completely off the mark when I guessed that. Okay. So far, Bob's the only one in chat. Hopefully more people join. I posted the link in the Discord. Fucking added everyone like always. But I feel like it's necessary to kind of go through this sort of bare minimum in regards to like the setup and the premise. Because if you were in the Discord at the time, this would have been the information, you would have had access to this information as well. He also laid out like how the allotments work for specific Touhous and specific abilities and specific skills. I don't think that's as important to get into because they don't really come up in the story, and things he might have like had different ideas and changed his mind about certain things since writing those things down. So I don't think that's incredibly important to really put on the table. One last thing before we really get right into it. There's one thing I absolutely 100% feel I need to stress. And I am the kind of person, where, oh, by the way, your hard drive is back with all the data, and much has changed. Yeah. Also, cool that you got the hard drive and data back. Nice. I am the kind of person, I need to stress this, I'm the kind of person where I feel like if I feel like your story doesn't really have much going for it, or if I'm only just like kind of sort of interested, generally, I'm the kind of like fucking spectrum brained, like fucking nitpicker. I'm the nitpicking autist grammar Nazi who, like, when I see like weird fucking phrasing, misspelled words, bad fucking grammar, shit punctuation, like when I see that shit and I feel like you're not really saying much with what you've written, it becomes extremely distracting to me, to the point where I will literally put down your fucking story if it's not interesting enough for me to like forgive those things. Now, maybe you can argue the interactive element helps with that in terms of like forgivability, like maybe because like it's interactive, it's more novel, you feel more invested. That could be true. But I feel like the story stands on its own, despite whatever like phrasing flaws it has or spelling errors it might have, or like some grammatical errors it has. There were more in the beginning than there were later. You will spot them, we'll point them out, we'll notice them. But I want to stress that most of the time I find these things to be incredibly distracting. And from some other writing examples I've seen from other places, and even in the very Discord server itself, the same Discord server, like I would put shit down because like I would find it that distracting. This story, it doesn't do that. It doesn't bother me as much. Probably because it's not as frequent, but probably because the story is actually pretty well written, in my opinion. And I've said this to Baba before too, but like that little character right there on the right, the one next to Kogasa, that's a character from this story. I never would have fucking drawn anything for this story if I didn't like it. But anyway, enough of me fucking shilling, I guess. Like, God, you don't seem by it though. You haven't seen the fucking scathing recaps I've written up for Bob in the last couple of weeks, where I've pointed out every fucking inconsistency, and we might spot those today. We might spot those today. We're definitely going to spot a few. Not going to point them all out because it's going to be incredibly distracting and it's not going to make a whole lot of sense. So we're just going to go in and we're going to try and approach this as if we're reading it for the first time, at least as best as we can. And I'll make mental note of where I spot certain things that are more storytelling errors than they are errors in style and presentation. Another thing I should also mention is that when I talk about nitpicking style, when I talk about nitpicking the things I see, part of it is grammar, part of it is spelling, but a big part of it sometimes really is just style. Like sometimes you can have like weird phrasing where it just doesn't make any sense and you sound like you're ESL. Other times you can have like slightly odd phrasing or slightly odd turns of phrase or colloquialisms, and really at that point it's more a matter of style. So at that point it's really more of a nitpick. But anyway, those summaries are harsh but true. I mean, it's really only just the side notes where I do that. The regular parts of the summary are just like straightforward. We can go through the summaries. They're not really that important to the story. They just recap what happens in a very kind of like clinical, Wikipedian kind of way. But it's fine. The rewrite shall be thorough and intent on murdering the bad grammar and all the big and little mistakes. Also curling up on the floor. Compliments are rare and I mean, look, that's the reality we live in, unfortunately. Okay. All right. I need to get the actual link for the story. And unfortunately, the only way I know how to do that is to just go to the stream. Shut the fuck up, Clips VH. You fucking hate that asshole. Fuck Clips VH. Let's go here. There we go. Get that over here. All right, we're chill. Close that. Close that. Okay. I think, just so we're not in like dead quiet all night, might be good to have like some music play, right? Bring it down a bit. Hit next. Go. Should we have music actually? Yeah, maybe, right? Does we have something? Otherwise, it's like dead quiet, right? The only problem is it might not always match what we're reading. That's the issue. That's the issue. But like, it's fine. Okay, so this is, get this up. So this is the Google Drive folder that has all the stuff that Bob has written so far. There is some stuff missing, I've noticed. There's a lot of these side chapters that I think are missing, that he still has to add. But the meat of the story, what we're here for, what we want to read, are these bits all up here. This stuff down here, those are all side stories. Presumably far less important, but still part of the actual story. Make sure I play the two pieces of it. How many pieces have? Okay, now you got me thinking about it. Now I gotta look. Before we need to read the story, Bob. Fuck. You're just trying to delay the inevitable. You're trying to keep me from reading your story because you're shy. How many pieces have I written for the story, or that were like inspired by this story? At least 2, but I feel like it's like 3. But I think I'm insane. I think I'm nuts. Hang on, I'm gonna pause the music for a sec. I'm gonna mute desktop audio so I can like listen to this because I need to see. Yeah, that's one. That's definitely one. That's one. And then what was this one again? Yeah, but I never posted that one. Never posted that one, but I wouldn't say that was like a post-fantasy inspired piece. That's definitely one. That's another one. Okay, there is at least 3. That's right. This is for the sea. We might, you know what? If I feel like it's appropriate, because we visit the sea every single fucking night, we'll play that during those parts. Okay? You happy with that, Bob? We'll play the part that's that I wrote for the sea on the parts for the sea. There's also another one. There's another one that I wrote. Another piece that I wrote while reading post fantasy, but I don't think it was explicitly like for post fantasy. But I did listen to it a lot while I was reading post fantasy. Okay, where's the C one? Let me just cue that up. You can also make sure it's not too loud. Okay, cool. Okay, so when we get to a part where it's appropriate, I'll stop the music we're listening to and we'll listen to that instead. Okay, cool? Chill? Good. All right. Okay. Here's a story. Let me zoom in so we can actually see better on stream. Probably a little bit small on stream. Can I zoom in further? I can. Okay. So this should be okay to read on screen. Like this should be mostly legible, I hope, on stream. Okay. So I guess we'll begin. Okay. I'm gonna... Okay. Don't know if I want to do voices. I think I have... Oh, I still have the desktop audio muted. Whoops. Okay. Make it a little bit lower, because again, it's not always going to match what we're reading. This is such a bad idea. The music is so bad. I can never listen to music. You know what? We'll do it anyway. It's fine. It's fine. Bob said he likes it. We'll do it anyway. I can never listen to music while I'm reading this because it's always like I feel like it ruins the intended tone. But okay, it's fine. All right. So we have the premise. We know the background info. We're going right to it. Now I can't do. I'm not gonna do voices. I don't think. I'm gonna try and like match what I think the general like inflection and maybe like general tone and general. What's the phrase I'm going for? I'm gonna try and match what I think the characters are sounding like in the moment, but I don't know if I'm gonna do like voices. Like, maybe I'll try and match like tone and inflection. Like I don't know about anything beyond that. So we start out with this sort of like second person narration, which I think from like even the very beginning kind of like bugged me. You'll see why it bugs me in a minute. Okay. Also, we're not going to read these bits because these bits are actually you can't see it, but if I show you here, if I show you in a different here we go. As you can see here, like on the side here, we got these little headers. And unfortunately, the headers are like in basically the same font as the rest of the text, so it makes it a little hard to tell which ones are which. But I know that they're headers because they're like in all caps, so it's like it's fine. We'll deal with it. Alright. In ages long past, there once was the land of fantasy, where the impossible was common and common sense was thrown out. But in modern times, turning aluminum into gold is a regular occurrence, and all things are explained with facts and logic. It actually says rules. I'm memeing. I have to also remember like where the top of the page is for this stream. Fantasy could no longer exist in a world that did not need it. Without a single shot being fired, the land of fantasy was destroyed. Yet before the destruction of their home was complete, the greatest minds of this land came together to create a hope to be flung to the far future. Yin-Yang Orb that contained the memories and skills of every notable person in the land. Now so far into the future after this event, you are a descendant of the Shrine Maiden of that land. Now a Shrine Maiden yourself on your 18th birthday. It has now come your time to inherit the Yin-Yang Orb, and take up the responsibility of restoring fantasy to the world. Do great things, Miko. I know it. 2 years ago you were told that. 2 years ago you were given a heavy responsibility. 2 years ago you were left alone. You're now 20, living in a rundown old shrine in the middle of a city whose name you find impossible to pronounce and taxing to think. It's called Zen. It's the first thing that comes to mind when you think of where you are out, anyhow. It's in the middle of one of your daily sessions cleaning the shrine that you notice something about the Yin-Yang Orb. It's never given off a flicker of anything towards you in all the time you've had it. But today it seems different. You see it's begun to give off a faint, ebbing purple glow as it sits atop the cushion you left it to rest on. You feel yourself drawn to it. It makes you cautious. Sure, you grew up on stories of monsters lurking in the dark, gods walking amongst men, and humans with supernatural powers. But to even see a hint of that strangeness before you, it's almost frightening. Yet before you can consider what the glow could mean, you hear a voice coming from somewhere. It almost sounds like it's coming from within your mind. Yet more so like it's resonating from within you. Who? It asks. Well, that's obvious. You're Miko. Miko Hakure. The last Shrine Maiden of Hakure. Or at least, and that's what you'd resigned yourself to, as there had been no sign that you had any spiritual capability before. And seeing as there was no longer anyone left to teach you the ways of the fantastical, you did not believe that there was any hope of revitalizing it in this world. Last? Yeah. The last. He has no reply to the voice. If you were to be honest, you're rather creeped out by this. Those tales you once heard weren't exactly something you particularly believed in. Oh, that's musical spoilers, and also doesn't match what we're reading. Those tales you once heard weren't exactly something you particularly believed in. While you couldn't deny that the thought of something unknown or impossible in the world sounded interesting, you couldn't quite believe in it as something more than the ramblings of a nearly dead religion. But just because you did not believe does not mean you didn't want it to be true. You walk over towards the orb, now with the glow being stronger than a nightlight. The small frown on your face. You don't know if any of this is real, but in case it is, you might as well treat it as seriously as anything else. You stop right in front of the orb and take a seat, staring at it as if it were a person. You struggle for a moment to quell a rising sense of embarrassment from how this must look to an outsider, and respond to the orb's statement. Look, I don't know what's going, but just in case I didn't need some food that went bad, I don't appreciate you reading my thoughts here. The second passes, and then another. You start to worry about that bread you ate this morning had really gone that bad when you hear a yawn. You're already agonizing over your early installment memes. Who is this calming bitch in Miko who never believed? The wreck. Yeah, I remember saying that could work too. I remember you changed a lot as time went on, but I thought that was like a good idea. I thought like the idea of like this descendant of Reimu who lives in this world where these things are factually untrue and like as far as everyone's aware, like objectively don't exist. And then like encountering this yin yang orb and all the things that she is going to encounter later, it's like having like challenging her preconceptions of the world in regards to like how it works and like holy shit, yokai are real. It's like I thought it was like okay, like that's like, I mean, maybe kind of bog standard, sure, maybe kind of pedestrian, but that's generally the idea I thought was happening when I first read this. Also, I need to say again, this is an interactive story, right? So like in some of these spots there were originally like choices where like the reader was meant to like pick what like maybe what Miko's questions would be, or maybe what her response would be, or maybe like if she was about to go do something or had to decide on what to do, that was sort of like a prompt for the reader to choose something for her to do. I feel like that needs restating every so often because the way it reads, the way it's pasted and the way it reads in the Google Doc, you wouldn't be able to tell that there were ever choices to begin with. So I feel like that bears repeating. Maybe that could still be used for another person. True. Start to worry that bread you ate this morning had really gone bad. When you hear a yawn. I apologize. It's been a long time since I last awoke. I forgot people may not wish to have a conversation like this. You still feel the voice resonating from within you, but somehow it feels as if pressure has been alleviated that you hadn't realized was there. Was reading your mind the entire time? Well, thanks for not doing that now, I guess. Would have been nice if you hadn't in the first place, but too late to complain any more about that. Now I've got questions. I'm rather tired, and there are things that I must tell you before I fall asleep again. I can likely answer the few before then. The voice says, trailing off. She's so polite it hurts. Which one? Because both of these characters change a little bit as time goes on. Kind of annoying to be interrupted like that, but if you only got time to ask a few questions before this thing falls back asleep, you should probably ask it at least the most basic things. It does sound tired though, so if you can get at least a couple. So, it'd be best to have a name to the voice you've been hearing first and foremost. Who are you? I am... The voice draws out their answer, as if stuck on the tip of their tongue. I was only called it once, but you may refer to me as Kyohi. Okay, Kyohi, what are you? I might not remember everything I was told about fantasy and whatnot, but I'm quite sure no one ever mentioned being able to hear voices from nowhere. I am a guide of sorts that resides in the yin yang orb. I was put here by people who don't matter to you yet. Well, that is anonymous. Someone who doesn't matter yet? If they matter enough to mention that they don't matter, they obviously matter somewhat. Okay, like, okay, this is one of the things that I think it's weird. We've already, I didn't point it out. I didn't like pinpoint it. I didn't laser focus it. I didn't like fucking like sniper elite headshot it. But like, we've already we've already blitzed past like a couple of odd word usages and a couple of, and like this one's like, I feel like, okay, that weird to bring up. Again, nitpicks. I think generally, especially as we go on, the actual writing and the characters will like shine through stuff like this. And Pop's like agonizing over a rewrite. Before I fall back to sleep, I must inform you of something. Kyohi says, stopping you from voicing your thoughts. Through me, you can access the powers of those from the land of fantasy and re-establish fantasy. The voice begins quickly fading, and the glow from the yin-yang orb grows weaker and weaker. You have no idea how this even happened, nor if it could happen again. You don't know why you care so much, but you don't want to let this pass. Probably should be pass. I'm nitpicking again. How am I supposed to do that? How do I use you? Touch the yin-yang orb, and you'll gain their power. You don't know what'll happen next, nor if you can truly trust Kyohi. But in a choice between living your pointless life in a world that doesn't need you, possibly making one where you are the keystone, the choice is obvious. Better not regret this. As you reach out and touch the yin-yang orb, the glow which was previously no stronger than a single firefly shines brightly enough to blind you and engulf the entire room. Okay, we're at one of those parts. Hang on. Kyohi at this point is a tutorial prompt and barely a character. Goo, it's so painful to see your early worst ideas for her. Oh no. Well, okay, we got to the part that you're gonna like. We're gonna go to the part where I get embarrassed because you want me to show off my compositions. This is a piece I wrote for the spiritual. This is a piece I wrote inspired by the spiritual space that our protagonist is currently in. There. Hopefully it's not super duper too loud compared to the other music. A cosmic sky. Look, this was Bob's request, okay? I wouldn't normally do this otherwise. A universe surrounds you. Feel as if you're in a dream. You occupy a space which does not exist. There's nothing here, but stars that continuously drift past and around you. No, they aren't stars. They're images. Images of people and places you do not recognize, yet still feel nonetheless familiar. One has a woman dressed as a shrine maiden, fighting a Western-style witch with a moon that shines unnaturally bright, providing backdrop for their fight. Another is a snowstorm, where two figures fight with blazing blue projectiles that bring a chill to your soul simply to look at. There is a winged creature that fights alongside a maid against a woman with a bow, as a hallway continues to expand infinitely. And through all of these, one in particular catches your eye. A girl with a little red bow, smiling as she flies over a misty lake. She looks so happy and content. She perfectly fits in the world you see. Wonder what that's like. Reach out and touch the fragment containing the girl with the red bow and... Okay, it's not appropriate anymore because we're out of that mode. You slowly open your eyes, feeling oddly rejuvenated from your nap. You remember that red-white lady being weirdly nice when you were brought to that shrine? She even gave you some big juicy meat to take back with you. You feel so tired after eating all of it, you just found a hole to hide in and rest your eyes a little. Alright. Oh, do I have to do... These are actual Touhous. Do I have to do the voices? I'm not... I don't want to take away from I don't want to take away from the story. I'm not going to do the voices. Usually I would. Usually if we were playing a Touhou fan game, I would, but I'm not going to do it this time. Come on, Shino, we've got to hurry. I know, Dai, I know, but don't you dare wait for me. You gotta drive a car home, talk big shite while you can't talk the story. I mean, look, but it's fine. It's fine for the most part, okay? A lot of things to nitpick here and there, but it's fine. The writers in chat, like, just getting upset by the fact that I'm reading a story. Holy crap. I'm memeing. I'm just memeing. Huh? You look up at the sky and, wow, it's dark. Darker than you even remember. It's even darker than when you cover yourself with those shadow thingies. And even through the treetops, you can kind of see those two fairies. The ones who always hang by the lake. What? The ones who always hang by the lake. Oh, okay, that sentence confused me. And even through the treetops, you can kind of see those two fairies, the ones who always hang by the lake, fly past. That's weird. Are I playing some kind of game in the middle of the night? No, wait. You don't know much about the green one, but that bluey fairy totally wouldn't get up in the middle of the night. Last time you saw her around then, she was super tired. Feel yourself smile at the memory of the fairy tossing and turning in the air as if she'd been drinking too much sake. So, that must mean it's still day, right? So, it's kind of like it's night, but day, but also night. That's cool. Maybe this means you could actually play with Wriggle and Misty while they're still both feeling awake. You don't get what's going on, but you're certainly not going to waste such a perfect chance to play with the two. From the little hole you'd found yourself the night before, you take flight in the morning night. With your arms stretched out, you enjoy the moment all the more. Looks like you fell asleep really close to the Misty Lake. There's a whole lot of fairies flying around there. Huh. Maybe there's a party going on then? You still can't see all that well. Dark is dark after all. But you think they look like they're having fun. Maybe you can find Wriggle and Misty there then. Maybe Misty's putting on a concert or something. You haven't seen one of those in a long time, you think? They're at least a little bit away though. So you may as well enjoy the flight. Take the time and spin and twirl about in the sky, firing off some Damaku as well, just for the heck of it. The wind passes through your hair and your ribbon flutters about. You feel lighter, faster, and just in general, happier than you can ever remember feeling before. No food you've eaten can ever compare to this feeling. The absolute joy is slowly overtaking you. As you open your eyes to see the world around you once more, now closer to those above the lake, you start seeing the expressions on their faces. You can see the same looks on their faces that you see on humans you've attacked. That moment between realization, worry, acceptance, even fear, travels across hundreds of fairies' faces. It's scary. All the things you felt before are violently ripped from you. Rip. You see a small bit of red fall in front of you. You feel lesser. The darkness that you had found joyous before continues to become more and more intense. You attempt to control it. Possibly for once in your existence, lighten it. Maybe even remove it, but it's no use. This isn't simply darkness or shadows. It's something else. Tread. Another bit of red floats down. Look all around you now. As you have joined the gathering of fairies and notice there aren't just fairies, but yokai of all kinds as well. You think you even spot Wriggle and Misty for a second, but they're gone just as quickly as you spotted them. Everyone's afraid. For once, so are you. Even when you first met the red-white girl and faced her down, you weren't scared. Just excited to play a new game. No human has ever been more than a nuisance, or just someone to avoid. You don't recall the last time you felt fear. Be sure that right now it's the strongest you've ever felt. Tear. You know that your ribbon, the one that you've had on for as long as you can remember, has just been destroyed. You don't know how, but you know it's gone. It's always been something that's bugged you. Couldn't touch or even adjust, but right now that doesn't matter. Kerr. You look up. In a moment, you see a crack in the sky, and next, the world breaks. Ah! You scream as you jolt up from the floor. What was that? Was that a dream? A nightmare or something else? No, wait. You have to gather yourself. You can't lose control of yourself. Yes, that's right. You were talking to that voice. The one that called itself Kyohi. She said that sure, why not, were some sort of guide in the Ying Orb. And you could access powers by touching it. That's right. Touching it. Oh, no, now Bob's embarrassed that we're reading the story, but now he's embarrassing me because he put my drawings in here. Oh, no. That's right, touching it. That was the last thing you did. You look around you and quickly realize you cannot find the orb nearby to you. Your thoughts are sent into a flurry. Perhaps someone stole it while you were unconscious? Or maybe it wasn't actually there in the first place, it's in the back of the shrine still. Or maybe you rush through a multitude of thoughts, wondering where the orb might have gone. You rub your head, stop as you feel your hand encounter a soft fabric now tied to it. Give the thing in your hair a tug once, then another. Quickly realize you aren't able to remove it. You rush to your room and step in front of your mirror. In it you see yourself. Now on your head. And now on your head, a little red bow. Same one you saw that girl wearing in your dreams. You trace the ribbon with your finger. Give it one last light tug on it. Nada. Still won't come off. Great. So you know where the yin orb you're supposed to keep safe is. Kyohi seems to be gone, or asleep as she puts it. And now you got a ribbon stuck on your head. Could today get any worse? You grumble. Swinging out your arms to let yourself fall to the floor. Bang. And then see a burst of what you could only call concentrated darkness fly out from your hand and launch upwards into the ceiling, creating a small hole. What? What in the world was that? No, wait. You know what that is. You saw that girl do that in the dream. That was... And here's where we get like a little gamey here. Damaku. The ability to create spiritual bullets that affect a target's spirit. One's resolve to fight. Though able to harm one physically, using them in such a manner requires much more energy, and is generally seen as going against the spirit of Danmaku fighting. Danmaku. You know for a fact that you've never heard that word before, but it still feels like you've lived your whole life hearing it everywhere you went. Is this what that old story you were told meant by memories and skills? If so, then maybe look deeper into yourself, in your memories, and there you find knowledge that doesn't belong. At least, not in the world of truth that you live in. More skills. Bullet hell. All projectiles appear to you as if they were Danmaku, and affect your spirit first and foremost before your body. Projectiles appear to move at a much slower rate to you, and you have the ability to graze them. To graze is to absorb a meager portion of power from Danmaku that is barely dodged, allowing you to boost your strength and speed when attacks are avoided in this manner continuously. Bullet hell? Graze? You understand the general gist of what these skills do and mean, but they almost seem fake. How could dodging things make you stronger? Yet, still you know this to be true. Or at least, that these rules now apply to you. Perhaps you alone. You once again rest your hand on the ribbon. I wonder if perhaps this too is a result of the yin-yang orb. Those memories of that girl? She was one of those yokai your family once spoke of. A being of fantasy. Perhaps any other day you just pass these events off as being a hallucination and just lie in your bed waiting for it all to pass. But the sunlight coming through the now new hole in your roof, the knowledge you suddenly possess, and the ribbon you cannot remove are all proof that this is real. Proof that there really was once a land of fantasy. That yokai and fairies, and probably all sorts of creatures the world had long since proven to have never existed, were real. Fantasy is the opposite of this world. Oh, that's another musical spoiler. Skip. Kyohi, is that you? You quietly mutter to yourself. In response, you hear yet another yawn. It seems like you've managed to make a connection with one of the fragments in the orb. She gets out between yawns. I'm not doing every single one of those ellipses as a yawn. You're on some kind of fucking drug if you think I will. I think something you did established just a little bit of fantasy in this world. What do you mean? Just look into the records of the Yin Yang Orb. It'll have the answers for those basic questions. That's not exactly something I can do, though. The orbs disappeared and I itched the ribbon. Kyohi blurts out quickly, and you're certain more aggressively than how she's spoken before. Is she grumpy that you woke her up? If you did, that is. Just let more fantasy into the world. We'll talk again then. Wait, hold on, I still have more questions. Hello? Hello? You nearly scream as you bring yourself off the floor, but receive no response. It seems you'll be on your own for a bit. Touch the ribbon. Yin Yang Orb? On your head again. Kyohi said that it'd tell you the basics of fantasy and what that meant. So you reach deep in yourself and begin to learn. New terms added to glossary: allotment, faith, fantasy, fear, fragment, humanity, spirit, truth. So, okay, so the glossary is a thing. We come back here and we go over here, and that is its own file. Full of a lot of stuff. And at the point that we are in the story, it's actually kind of full of spoilers as well. So maybe we won't look at that right away. But allotment is touching on what Miko is going to kind of sort of go over these things in the narration, so no need to worry too much. But allotment is touching on what I was talking about before, allotting these fragments of these Touhous so that Miko can gain new skills. Faith is, I think, if I remember right, in the context of this story, more or less kind of like how it is in real Touhou. Fantasy has its own special definition where it's kind of like the unexplainable, the fantastic, the yokai, the things that are not, like the supernatural, essentially. Fear, again, defined the same way that like real Touhou would define it. Fragment being like these sort of like, these little remnants of these Touhous that we know within the Yin Yang Orb. Humanity, which is like a completely different third thing that it's not a spoiler to say, I don't think, but the story hasn't really gone too deep into exactly what humanity is yet. Spirit, truth. Truth being like, truth meaning like the world of science and empiricism that kind of like rejects the idea of fantasy. I hope I'm not like mischaracterizing any of these elements, but it's possible I might be. This track's a little loud. We're gonna skip it. As you let go of the ribbon, you reflect on what you've learned. It's all simple, yet confusing. You understand that humanity's truth essentially killed fantasy by denying its existence or rendering it mute and or pointless from the world. It explains how something like a concept could even be an entire land and then killed in the first place. And creatures of fantasy would manifest to explain the unexplainable, you guess? So, as things are explained, they're no longer needed by humans to explain the world around them, making it truth? That can start to make some sense to you, but then there's faith and fear, which are apparently something yokai and gods respectively need to exist. False. Yes, you can fear a god, but generally the way... Like, yes, you could fear a god and you could probably have faith in a yokai, maybe, sure. Like, that's how it works for Byakuren, right? Kind of, but not really. But generally in Touhou, it's fear that yokai need and faith that gods need, not the other way around. Another nitpick, but that's like, that's basic Touhou. Though, if that's the case, where do things like fairies fit into it? They aren't yokai, and also not gods. So maybe there's still some still around in the world still? And there's that entire thing about humanity, which is you stop pacing around the room. Not even having realized you've begun to do so. This entire thing brings up so many questions that you just don't have the answers to yet. And the only one who could possibly answer them is Kyohi, who's only going to come out again when you let more fantasy into the world. Somehow. So that means you need to bring questions into the world then? If that's the case, then maybe that fragment could be the key. Kyohi said you must have done something to bring fantasy into the world. Only thing you could think of is that Danmaku shot you let out. You touch the ribbon again. Look upon the information about the fragment. And now we're getting like a little status screen here. So we're seeing what the current fragment is. So Yokai of the Dusk. If you know who that is, you know. Minimum allotment, meaning the minimum amount of allotment points that Miko's allowed to have, meaning that if she has a fragment equipped, she must have at least this much put into that fragment. And this is where you fucking lost me. I didn't understand what symbols represented what, but if I understand, if we're to equate this to an ornament in Trails, and we're listening to a Trails track right now, these curly braces are an allotment slot that have a quartz in it, and the regular brackets are an ornament slot that has no quartz in it. And these X's are all slots we haven't opened up yet. So Miko's got some really fucking low EP right now. Yin Yang Orb form, red ribbon, unremovable. So according to the information you have, you can now use to unlock it yourself. But you could allot more points to the current fragment, and maybe hopefully find out how to actually use the thing. But at base, your goal right now is to create more fantasy into the world, so you can hopefully get more answers out of Kyohi, without being interrupted if you're lucky. While you rack your brain on what to do, take a look at yourself in the mirror. Harsh-looking maroon eyes reflect back at you, making you remember how much meaner you look without glasses on. It's that reminder that you grab your glasses, as functionally useless as they may be, off the nearby nightstand and put them on. Your hair is still the same sort of brown it's always been, just now with a bow in it. The Shrine Maiden outfit you're wearing isn't its usual red and white now, though. Instead, the red has become black, and the white red. You chalk up the change in clothing color to be related to the fragment, just like with the bow. As you look at the bow, you recall just how much you once heard about fantasy, that until now you had simply dismissed. With it, we're gonna get to Miko later, and we're gonna be like, what do you mean she dismissed fantasy? Like, or it's gonna be like the opposite, actually. As you look at the bow, you recall just how much you had once heard about fantasy that until now you had simply dismissed. With that thought, you dash off to a drawer of assorted items you keep in your room, and pull out a map of Zen, a flip phone you have, can't exactly afford to get anything better, alright, and a book entitled Gensokyo Chronicles. Leave it alone. No, it's musical spoilers, and it fine. It doesn't fit. It doesn't fit. Pain Miko retunes? Oh, recons. Retcons. I misread that because I saw it on the phone first. You've got a couple ideas what to do with these, but you're not sure which one to go with. It's not exactly much of a plan, but maybe you could look up places in Zen where creatures of fantasy might be? There's at least a couple of occult sites you know of that have people posting places where they might have seen ghosts and other such things. And if you could help that lot survive, somehow, you could have more fantasy in the world. Or perhaps you could look into some of those playground rumors you hear sometimes when people visit the shrine. You dismissed them out of hand before, but it's looking like they had some more weight to them than you originally thought. Though, there's also that old book about creatures of fantasy you have. Your mom used to read it to you on occasion. Can you vaguely recall sections about where to find fairies or something? Worst comes to worst. It should be worst comes to worst, but... Or at least I think so, that's how I would read it. You could just spend some time experimenting with the fragment. And after all, using it once already introduced some fantasy into the world, so maybe using it again some way would have the same effect. After thinking it over for a time, you just end up deciding on a plan. Roll up the map and put it along with the other items you have taken out to the side of the room. Dude, I can't fucking read. I was doing so well up until now. You roll up the map and put it along with the other items you had taken out to the side of the room. You'll probably have time later to investigate those rumors and read about the Gensokyo Chronicles. Or read the Gensokyo Chronicles, even. For now, it'd be best to do what you know. Or at least, quite sure it works. The Fragment. Youkai of Dusk. Kyohi awoke in response to the fantasy that you guess was created when you launched the Danmaku shot. That should mean that if you use them more, you would have more fantasy. But before that, you should really get changed. It's not exactly normal to be in your Shrine Maiden outfit for an entire day or what have you. Also, if you're going to be experimenting with this fragment, you may as well do so in clothes you're comfortable in. Put on a light red hoodie and gray shorts, casual attire. Pulling up your shoes, you find yourself enjoying a small return to regular life. Feeling is cut short though, as the red turns to black and gray to more red before your eyes. Come on! Got a little piece of artwork here by Grace Slime. She's not here, but she's the one who made this piece. She's so different now. Little bit. Still a dork though, that never changed. Sorry, spoilers. Is this just gonna be happening for everything you wear? Well, this is something you might have to learn to control during this. I guess that's something you might learn how to control during this. That's probably part of the fragment after all. So, you'll hopefully figure out how the clothing changes colors for a reason thing works. Take a step outside and sit in the shrine stairs. This place is where you usually go when you need to do some browsing online. You feel quite calm here. Think back on what you know about the fragment. Through it, you know you have a limited amount of spiritual power that you could devote to further the power you get. Wait. I need to read that again. Through it, you know you have a limited amount of spiritual power that you could devote to further the power you gain through the fragment. Okay, a little bit of a mouthful. You don't know if you even had any spiritual power before, but you know for a fact that you do now. Concentrating on the feeling of the fragment, of what is the very basis of the yokai of the dusk, you attempt to pull upon the girl with the red bow's power. You recall the absolute darkness that befell the girl in her final moments. The absolute lack of anything. You recall her attempts to control that darkness. She became more and more scared in how it felt. Darker. Darker, yet dark still. Extract yourself from everything, just as the world did for you. Can't see anything. When you open your eyes, it's a complete blackness. Can't see even a glimpse of anything. It's strange, but despite being unable to confirm that there's even a shrine around you, you don't feel nervous at all. In a way, it's comforting. Like a friend that you've always known. Is this why that kid yokai was trying to, in the end, to wrap it around her? As if it was her safety blanket? You frown at the thought. It's not exactly comforting knowing that someone who was so innocent as to be happy to just fly freely would die in such a horrific way. But if this fragment is all that's left of her, it's your responsibility to use it. At least prove to the world that she did exist. So that the world is not something you can see. You still feel the need to make it yours. The patterns the girl with the red bow used during that dream appear to you as images in your mind. You hadn't thought of them as anything but pretty lights at the time, but thinking back on it, you realize they embodied how she felt. They expressed that joy on an unspeakable level, and how she thought she'd live forever with her friends playing day after day. Of what could have been. No. Should have been. That rage you feel at the injustice of the world, of what truth is decided to be, powers you to begin to dance within the impenetrable shadow that surrounds you. You're on your PC, so now it's time to die at better speed with proper grammar. Yikes. So we're gonna get introduced to a few characters right now. One of them is the best girl, and the rest of them are the rest of them. Just my opinion. Outside your sphere of darkness, a beautiful display of danmaku that speaks of rage is presented. One wherein bullets interlock with one another to form chains of darkness, as if to bind the world with them. A girl wearing a yellow raincoat, floating above clear blue water, across a lake stops dancing her swan dance. She pauses, notices anger radiating from the rundown shrine she barely knows, shivers in fear. The young teenager chokes on a miasma of hate coming from the shrine she's played at so often. Yet, she isn't scared of what she feels, and instead shakes in excitement. The lost child pauses, cries, knowing why she suddenly feels so much happier than she ever has before. Adulta knows nothing but anxiety from simply being as she is, battles down a new fear, rising in her chest at the feeling of a threat rising in her city. The person who sees herself as just another NEET is getting a new playmate. The photos she's getting are anything to go by. And for everyone else in the city she called Zen, everything changed at that moment. The world would feel the waves of change to come. You finish singing the song of danmaku. Take a deep breath and release the sphere of darkness you had maintained. Looking up the skyline, you see that night came over during the time you did that. You don't quite understand it, but it feels as if you've done the right thing. Something like last rites for a girl who met a sudden end. With a sigh, you step back inside. Prepare yourself for a good night's rest. Perhaps you could visit one of those places tomorrow, and that'll work. Can we strengthen the fragment? Yokai of the Dusk? I guess, have we gained a new slot from that? I don't know. I had no idea how this system worked. I still don't, really. The closest I can come to is that it kind of works like the orbments in Trails. Okay. We need to go back to the other piece. A new slot was gained. Okay. Gotcha. We gotta go back to this piece because we're back in the sea. That night you return to the place where you first encountered the fragment that contained the girl with the red bow. I need to turn this down more. Fragments continue to blaze past you, and instead of reaching out to any of them, you think on what has happened in just a day alone. It's more than a little dizzying to consider that you've gone from barely believing the stories you've listened to as a child to being able to shoot out magic bullets of darkness. You don't even know if you have a body in this place, but you still feel as if you're suddenly sweating bullets. You remember what that single Danmaku bullet from before did to the roof of the shrine? Which you've now realized you'll need to fix eventually, and won't that be fun? But now you've shot out God knows how many into the world without a care. You don't remember seeing any wait, this is random quotation mark here. You don't remember seeing any destroyed trees or what have you when you let down the sphere of darkness, but considering how little you understand Danmaku works physically, it doesn't fill you with anything but more anxiety. Bob is like me, except he's coming from like a completely different angle. Bob is like me when I notice this shit, but like he's coming from a completely different like angle of the sliding scale. It's possible that someone saw those too? You changed out of your shrine maiden outfit partially because you thought it'd be best not to draw too much attention to yourself, and yet you ended up doing that? Bring a palm to your might or might not exist forehead in exasperation at your own antics. Sure, you may have wanted to find others a fantasy, but you can't help but think you most likely given off a rather poor impression of yourself. Honestly, though, you don't know how you would have gone about introducing or explaining yourself to anyone, really. What are you gonna do? Say, "Hi, I'm a local shrine maiden, and I've got superpowers now. You'd like to join me in overthrowing the nature of the world?" Putting it so bluntly, it really weighs on you just what kind of responsibility you've taken up. No one could have properly prepared you for this, you know. But nevertheless, I wish someone could have given you some warning. Try to look on what little bright side there is, though. From experimenting with the fragment today, you've gained a better idea of how to use Danmaku. Compared to that first accidental discharge when you first fired one, the ones today and the ones you witnessed in the fragment before confirm that Danmaku is a kind of expression of one's emotions. Today you expressed anger through them, and in the fragment the girl expressed her joy. Those same Danmaku, though, unlike the first time you used that ability, feel as if it was so much more pure. Sure, you may have fired literally only one before, but just the knowledge, just as the knowledge the Yin Yang Orb gave you feels as if you've known your entire life, but also that Danmaku isn't meant to be intentionally used as destructively as you've learned it's capable of being. Yup! I until I reread these earlier parts, I had forgotten about the hole in the ceiling in the shrine, and it's literally, up until the most recent chapter, it's never been addressed by anyone. It's never been fixed, as far as we know. Also, spoilers, they're later in the story, it fucking rains. How far did I read here? Oh yeah. Also didn't expect to feel so angry at what happened to the girl in the with the red ribbon. You only ever saw her once, yet perhaps due to some connection that comes with unlocking a fragment, you can't stop yourself from sympathizing and caring for her. You don't think you were ever the kind of person who, before, either to get angry at... Wait. Oh, that's a fucked up sentence. You don't think you were ever the kind of person before either to get... That's a fucked up sentence. I can't let that one fly. You don't think you were ever the kind of person before to get angry at injustices at the world either. Such things happen all the time, so why would you get upset about something you can't control? But even just thinking that makes you feel ill. Why do you care about a random little girl whose own memories point to her attacking humans for fun? Possibly even harming them. Logically speaking, there's nothing there to draw you towards her any more than in those other fragments that surround you now. Yet, here you still are, resting after giving her last rite via Danmaku. Why? As you continue to float in the endless sea of fragments, that question bangs around inside your head. The reason for why you're even trying to do this. Why you listened to a random voice you heard out of the blue. Why you performed a last rite for a girl long dead. Why you stayed at this rundown shrine for 2 years after you could have left. You haven't answered that question. As you look down upon the lives of who knows how many people through the fragments it takes shape and becomes more fantastical. That feeling, that drive, solidifies itself inside of you, empowering you further. That core drives you forwards. The core that drives you forwards into the waking world is rule reality. This world isn't fair. Why shouldn't it be? The little girl didn't need to die. Her friends didn't need to die. Those fairies didn't need to die. What kind of world would let them die? What you know speaks of truth and fantasy as incompatible things, but who decided that? Even if it may be a fruitless endeavor, to try to never let a place like the land of fantasy fall again, we'll do what it takes. And we gain some new stats. This is official. This isn't Miko. It's her twin sister Deeko, who was later murdered and replaced. Oh shit! Was it OP from the Denko saga? Oh no! Is he immortal? Is he still alive in this time period? Did he do it? That was the last time we did story time. I want to look something up real quick while we're doing this. Hang on. There's a better way I could do this. I'll leave the music playing. I want to open up a incognito tab. An incognito window real quick. I want to go to YouTube. I want to search for me. Okay, that is coming up. All right, it is showing up. I set the stream up like really early in the week, and it wasn't showing up on my channel. So I was worried that like maybe it was like accidentally set to like private or something, or like unlisted or something. But like no, it's showing up when I go in an incognito tab, so it's cool. All right. I was just curious about how that looked on YouTube. He got into weird fetishes and accidentally ended up eating Boko's liver. Well, look, man. Allegedly having sex with Eiko will fucking do that to a man. Okay. She knew some stuff. He wasn't ready for it. Fuck. I fucking hate me. Okay, so that's the end of the prologue. It's the end of the prologue, so we can go back to our normal music. So yeah, we're going through at a steady clip. We're through the prologue. Now we're moving on to chapter 1. Probably have enough time to get to chapter 2, but through chapter 2 rather. But we'll see. Chapter 3 will probably have to be its own stream. Chapter 4, extremely gonna have to be like 2 of its own streams, and then at some point the rest of these side chapters. There are plenty that are actually missing, which is like that's a war crime. Okay, so really swiftly, let's zoom in real quick and do a... Oh, I didn't need to do that because the browser was already zoomed in. Okay, we're cool. We're good. Look at those file sizes. Yeah, chapter 3 is... Oh, you can't see it here unless I do like this or something. Once I go like this. Yeah. 99 kilobytes for chapter 3. 206 kilobytes for chapter 4. Also, when you notice that the prologue is 540 kilobytes, I need you to remember something very important. The prologue has images, it has a couple of illustrations in there. Chapters 4 and 3 do not have any illustrations whatsoever. So, something to bear in mind when you're looking at the file sizes there. back to the story. As you awaken from the dream, as you awaken from that dream of the yin yang orb, as you awaken from that dream world of the yin yang orb, you feel like you understand yourself and what you're doing in this world a bit more. We're gonna get to a point where we're gonna notice that cruel reality core kicking, and we're gonna get to a part of the story that like really bothered me when it first showed up. And I'll kind of explain. I'll let the pattern, like I'll read it, and I won't point it out. I'll kind of let the pattern establish itself. I'll kind of let the theme sort of set in before I start pointing it out. You let out a breath filled with stress that you didn't even realize you were keeping pent up until now. It feels good to finally have a hold of yourself, and it makes it feel as if you're ready for what might come next. Still feeling a bit groggy though. You reach out to where your glasses should be, and find them missing. Sorry. Here you go. Thanks. You yawn out as you take your glasses from the green-eyed teenager beside you. Her bright, pink, buggish-looking wings kind of hurt to look. You blink. And you blink again. Then you put on your glasses and blink thrice more. There's another illustration by Graceline. You haven't handled cruel reality well enough? Oh no! Looking directly at you, with green eyes filled with a confusing level of kindness, it's a teenage girl. Though the wings on her back make it quite clear she's not human. Her pink wings clash harshly with the green eyes, green hair, and dirty yellow sundress she wears. You don't even think a baby who ran headfirst into a wardrobe would look so garish. Lady, you okay? The fairy says. Yes, you'll go with fairy for now. The one green-haired girl in the fragment you saw sorta had wings like this girl's, but also not the same? Well, anyway. It seems like the fairy was talking while you zoned... Wait, no. It seems like the fairy was talking while you zoned out from the strangeness of waking up to find someone has invaded your room. And it was apparently so cool that I used 6 pages! 6 pages! Can you believe that? So I definitely couldn't just wait outside, and I thought I'd come to you first thing. She rattles off this at a brisk... She rattles all this off at a brisk neck speed. I think you meant breakneck speed. At least you're feeling almost dizzy. She suddenly stops speaking and has a look on her face as if she just remembered something. She takes out from a red bag that's barely hanging on. Does she always have that? A red notebook filled to the brim with folded pages and sticky notes. Oh yeah, I'm supposed to let you talk first, right? She wandered into home, person angry when talking too much. I got that noted down right here. She exclaims as she shoves the notebook in your face, filled with hastily written notes onto it. Hastily written words on it. There doesn't seem to be any single bit of blank space left on the page she's showing you. Speed of brisk drink. Or a brisk wind. I mean, it's fine. Maybe she's like, maybe she knows Aya. I need a sip. We've been going a bit. We've been going a little bit. Why have I not been muting my mic when I fucking crush water bottles? That's bad practice. That's bad memes. 1 sec. Always crush your cans. Drink soda, drink energy drinks, always crush your cans. You drink water, always crush your water bottles, because when you throw them in your recycling bin, that just means you'll have more space in the recycling bin. It won't be wasted space. That's a free tip from me to you. Where were we? This has gone on long enough though. You open your mouth and blurt out without thinking, who are you? No, more importantly, how did you get in here? Girl reels back a foot or two at your outburst, floating away as her wings light up a smidge, and the air in the room smells faintly of something indescribable, but pleasant. You can't help but feel bad when you see the nervous energy the girl emanates from her new position in the room, but you don't think your reaction was unjustified. Since your parents died, you've always just lived alone at the shrine, and the place rarely receives visitors. So waking up to someone giving you your glasses as if she's always been living here isn't exactly a pleasant experience. The girl continues to hover above the wooden floorboards, clinging tightly to her chest and notebook that she had just shown you before. Her eyes dart between you and the notebook until they finally settle on the notebook, and she just barely opens it. I'm sorry. I haven't talked to anyone for so long. Or at least, I don't have any notes saying that I have. So, I'm sorry if I upset you. She starts out in a complete contrast to how she had been just moments before. Not missing a beat, though. She, with boundless energy. I just really wanted to talk to you since you did that thing before. Not that I saw it, but I just got loads of notes in my notebook going on and on about how the cool thing that happened at the shrine. So I thought I'd come over, and before suddenly cutting herself off and taking a deep breath. And as she does so, her feet touch the floor. She turns her notebook to you, the cover outwards, and on it you see a name. Anyway, hi, I'm Techie. It's nice to meet you. Hi, Techie. Nice to meet you all, but you still haven't told me how you... The door! She says, as if the words exploded from her mouth. Then she says in a quieter voice, with no less energy, the door. I used the door. It was open. And I've been here before, and all, and the place was never locked, and I'd seen at least one other person come in here before, so I thought it'd be fine. Well, you're not wrong per se about the shrine being open, and it certainly isn't closed. The outside and even the main room are open for public to come visit, though you certainly don't recall anyone actually coming in during the past couple of... Wait a sec. At least one person. Does that mean all the people she's seen were just you? Look, you're embarrassed by the writing right now. I'm embarrassed because this is literally the worst drawing I've ever done of Miko, and you plastered it right in the middle of the page. I'm humiliated. I have drawn Miko so much better since this. This is literally the worst one of her. Take a short break. You take a short breath. And straighten your back. And narrow your eyes to give yourself a greater air of authority. In your PJs, admittedly, but the point is, you attempt to gain a bit more control over the situation. But that doesn't mean you can come barge into my room, okay? And look, I can see that you're all excited and all, but you should have just waited in the main room if you want to talk that much to me. I'd have woken up sooner rather than later. Oh, I know, I never wake you up. I was just waiting in there, but I got kind of bored and I wanted to talk to you first thing after you woke up, and suddenly she grabbed your hands and intertwines them with hers. I really want to be your friend, is all. She said with such excitement and glee in both her voice and her eyes that if you were a weaker-willed person, you'd probably just cave that demand here and now. I drew bad, you wrote bad, you think that's fair? Ouch. Harsh. Harsh. He said you managed to release yourself from her grasp, which is ungodly hard to do for some reason. Give a hearty... What? With her hands now free, Techie reaches down to pick up her notebook and opens it again to show you a page that simply says the words, "Painful stuff from the lake shrine. Feels cool. Maybe new friend." Sprawled across it. And on the following page too. I don't remember it, but last night, something happened here and I felt it from wherever I was at. I don't really know why it hurt, but I thought it'd lead me to someone who I could make friends with, and I really wasn't gonna miss out. And you're like the only one here, so you've gotta be the one who did that, right? Ah. So someone did notice at the Maku show last night. Was she the only one? You eternally frowned at the thought and mark it down as something to think about later. Also, painful stuff? You really hope you didn't accidentally hit the scrotum straight at Maku last night, but still. Core's kicking in. She's obviously a creature of fantasy, with those wings and all. She's managed to survive in the world, even seems to be doing quite well if the energy she's been displaying is any indication. But you have a hard time imagining anyone being afraid of someone whose first reaction to possibly getting shot is, oh, maybe I could be friends with them. No, wait, on second thought, that does sound scary. So, maybe she is a yokai? But you don't know enough to really be sure, and you have so many questions to ask her. But right now, you're in PJs, and Techie is now uncomfortably close to you, looking as if she was waiting for an answer to her friend request. This really isn't the right situation for anything like that to be going on. Look, I literally just woke up. Could you at least leave my room and wait in the main room while I get changed and stuff? We can talk about that later, okay? Or we can talk after that, okay? Suddenly, Techie floats up, darts away with her notebook, in hand, out the door before closing it, then reopening it. Okay, she yelps, before closing the door again, leaving you alone in your room. You don't think you can give a strong enough sigh to properly express how much you're not looking forward to talking to her. Never been one to know how to deal with people who are just so in-your-face friendly like that. But if it means learning more about fantasy from someone who's clearly of it, then you'll gladly talk with her for days. Go through your morning routine and decide to wear your Shrine Maiden outfit. You usually attend to your duties first thing in the morning, so if you plan on doing them still, it's best to wear them again. And here we go. Core gain, cruel reality. Oh wait, no, this is a different description. The world is a cruel place. Its rules, I can't read. The world is a cruel and unfair place. Your understanding of the world, on a conceptual level, leads you to wish to change it and learn more about the smallest details of how it works. When obtaining information about fantasy and truth, you'll gain additional details due to your wish to obtain greater understanding in order to change how the world works. I gotta admit, I kind of spaced out while I was reading that, because I only noticed you freaking out over it. I'm gonna have to read it again. The world is a cruel and unfair place. Your understanding of the world on a conceptual level leads you to wish to change it and learn more about the smallest detail of how it works. When obtaining information about fantasy and truth, you'll gain additional details due to your wish to obtain great... Okay, there's a problem with this. There's a problem with the effect. Sorry, spoilers. This effect is not actually the effect. This is a mistranslation. We don't actually know what the actual effect of the core is yet. Because it sure as fuck ain't this. Sorry, spoilers, but that's reality. That's cruel reality. Let's skip the musical spoilers. Yeah, sure. Persona 5, that's fine. Closing the door behind you, you enter the main room of the shrine and find Teki lying stomach down on the floor writing in her notebook. Seeing her right away with a smile on her face, remembering her behavior from before, it's easy to see that she acts much younger than how she looks. Early ideas got thrown out. Oh. Teki quickly notices you waiting at the edge of the room and closes her notebook and sits down, legs crossed on the floor, eyes attentively staring at you. Looks like she's gonna let you start things off then. Take a seat across from her with your legs bent in casually. Take in a breath, and adjust the sleeves of your Shrine Maiden outfit, feeling a bit more in your element wearing them. Despite preferring your casual outfit, you do think the Shrine Maiden outfit is cool looking. You also don't like to change clothes more often than you have to, so it's good to have the outfit on for your duties later. Teki waiting patiently for you to start the conversation makes you think that maybe you were a bit too harsh on her at first. Despite the surprise that was waking up to finding someone in your room, you honestly can't think of any of her actions. You honestly can't think that any of her actions held any malice or ill intent. She seems to genuinely just want to be your friend. Of course, you'll still hold a healthy amount of skepticism about her, but you really should ask her more questions before you make any kind of final judgment. Might as well go and ask the first thing that pops into your mind. It's been on my mind since I first saw it, but what's with that notebook you've got? Looks like you've been writing in it for... You looks like you've been writing in it, and only it for years. It was something that struck you as a tad strange when you first caught a glimpse of the inside. What with the amount of writing being enough that you couldn't tell where the words began and ended in it. Well, you see, I got this problem with my memory, like, really bad problems. Like, I can't remember what happened yesterday kind of bad. That sounds rather serious. So then that notebook is, what, a kind of book of reminders? You've heard of people doing such a thing to remember homework and meetings and the like, but something like that really help her with her memory problem? Would something like that really help her when her memory problem is apparently so bad that if you did hit her with Tamaku last night, she can't recall it? Yepers. Had this with me for as long as I can remember, which isn't long, I know, but I've had it for a long time, and I'm also super sorry about before, she says at the end and bows, bringing her head to the floor. Look, there's no need to go as far as that. Lift your head up, okay? Apology accepted. While you do accept her apology, you are partially just trying to get her to stop the theatrical gesture. It's just rather embarrassing. Okay, Teki says, and lifts her head back up so fast you think you're likely to end up with sympathetic whiplash. Well, moving on. I've recently come to learn about yokai and gods and the like. I know they're both supposed to be really weak with how the world is right now, but you seem quite different from what I'd expect. So, what are you? No closing quotation. I told you I'm gonna pick out nitpicks as I see them. And we've had a bunch of nitpickable moments, but like I said, I think especially now that we have character interactions, like everything's gonna start. The actual meat of the story, the meaning of the story is shining through. more brightly than the questionable bits or the errors are able to distract me. Tackle Trooper, welcome. Welcome to the stream. You might be a little late, but we still got the rest of chapter 1 and maybe chapter 2 as well. So you're not. Oh no, oh no, he's upset that you're here because he's embarrassed by his early writing. Although to be fair, thinking about this, besides like 1 or 2 other things that I think you've written before this is basically like your first real foray into writing, isn't it? As far as I'm aware, like writing like an actual like story. I have no idea if you've written anything before this. You might have, and I might be completely mistaken. Teki jumps up and spins around as her pink wings glow once again. I'm a fairy, the absolute best of the best kind all around. Before continuing, she quickly sits back down. Or at least, that's what someone told me once, probably, she says with a sheepish smile. That confirms her suspicions from before. Teki is indeed a fairy, admittedly bigger and more mature looking than what you expected based on the few you saw in the fragment. But a fairy nevertheless. You don't exactly know much about fairies though, so I'm sorry, I've heard the term before, but I don't exactly know what makes a fairy different from, say, a yokai. Can you explain that to me? It's something you were planning on learning more about from the Gentokyo Chronicles, but if you have a living fairy in front of you, there's no reason not to ask her instead. I don't know. Or maybe there is. You really know nothing. You don't even have anything in that notebook of yours about your species? Nothing at all? Teki begins to quickly flip through her notebook at blazing speeds. You begin to wonder how the thing hasn't caught fire with the time she's had it. Holy God, why can't I read? You begin to wonder how the thing hasn't caught fire in the time she's had it when she suddenly stops on a page. She begins to slowly and mechanically read out. A fairy is an aspect of nature taken physical form. Unlike yokai or gods, a fairy does not require fear or faith to exist. Instead, as they are nature-given form, they will always exist as long as nature does. So now we have fairy added to the glossary. This is why I said it was going to be spoilers if we read it before, because new terms get added as the story progresses and as characters teach Miko new things. So if we were to read it before, like we hear things from like characters that we haven't actually met yet, or characters that we haven't actually like really spoken to yet. You raise an eyebrow at the textbook-like definition Teki just gave you. Of course, kicking in again. From what you've seen of Teki so far, you have a hard time believing she'd write something so direct and methodical down. It seems much more so like something she was told by someone else. Did you come up with that by yourself, or do you have any notes in there about someone telling you that? Huh? I don't know, it's kind of weird actually, because you see... She says, turning the notebook to you. It's not my handwriting, and I have no idea who would write in my notebook. Oh, but if I find them... She says with a huff, puffing her cheeks out. Cute. But what Teki said raises more questions in your mind. For someone to write something like that in such a manner leads you to believe that perhaps whoever wrote it down knows more about the functions of the world. The writing Teki shows you doesn't look that old either, at least compared to the first page she'd shown you. So hopefully that means whoever wrote this down is still alive. But if Teki doesn't know who wrote it, and her memory is so bad she basically can't remember anything, you doubt you're gonna have an easy time finding this person. Okay then, so can I ask you something? Teki blurts out, interrupting you. Before you say anything else, she continues on. What did you do last night? It must have been really cool, right? Well, I guess I asked some questions, so it'd only be fair to answer some of yours. I performed the last rite for a yokai girl last night. I used Danmaku, if you know what that is. You honestly don't know if it's a good idea to just tell Teki this, but you also don't know enough to say it'd be a bad thing either. You can use Danmaku? She practically screams in response as she leans forward closer to your face. Yes, keep it down, alright? I don't exactly want to broadcast that fact. Or at least, you don't want to right now. Teki leans back and shakes giddy with excitement. So if you know what Danmaku is... Wait, no, this is supposed to be Miko. So if you know what Danmaku is, then does that mean you can? Teki opens up her left hand. Dude, I can't read. Teki opens up her left hand, and from it, what you can only describe as a generic Danmaku bullet manifests. Its color is just as indistinct as the shape of it, which, at best you could describe as being vaguely round. Yeah, I can. It's more like an instinct than anything else, so I don't even have to write anything but the name down. Well, that's somewhat interesting. From the knowledge you've gained, Damaku is something to be learned. So what does it mean for Teki to be able to use it through instinct alone? Wanna have a Damaku duel? What? What? Slips through your mouth. Ah. A Damaku duel! You know, a cool battle between people using Damaku? I've got it written down, and every time it's mentioned, it just sounds like so much fun. So can we? Can we? Teki excitedly asks, now jittering up and down on the spot like she's a car motor. You gulp and think about it. To be the first chance you've gotten to try Damaku out in an actual fight. Loath as you are to get involved in without any proper training. Though, this would be a chance presumably to do said proper training. Can you be a bit more specific about what a Damaku duel is? That is? Oh, well, a Damaku duel is... This time you only hear the pages moving as she flips through before she says, a fight between duelists who use Damaku, and their other skills to defeat the opponent. As a simple form of practice and play, nothing other than Damaku patterns and bullets may be used. The duel ends when either side is unable to continue. The duel ends once either side is unable to continue fighting or surrenders. Another new term. Oh, more stuff for the rewrite. Miko is still developing as a character here in your writing. She needs work and a rewrite. Oh no. Another entry from our mysterious writer. How did you know? Just a suspicion. Another good reason to find said person. It's still rather early in the morning. The sun is barely up even, and you've only had a bit of rice to eat before you came to talk to Teki. But still, this would be a great chance to practice with a little risk. On the flip side, maybe you could convince Teki to go with you somewhere today. Could ask her more questions on the way. Though she's so excited to be with you right now, she'd probably be up for just about anything. No matter what you do, be sure that the sun will be fully up by the end of it. So this is like our prompt here, right? Like, because everything was kind of copy-pasted as is, this is like our prompt. Like, we were choosing like, oh, do we do this with Teki? Do we do this without Teki? Do we do, like, ABC with Teki? Do we XYZ without her? Like, this is where we would have chosen what to do for, like, the rest of, like, this day. I have to keep stressing that this is, like, an interactive story, because the way it reads off the Google Doc, like I said before, you would never guess. You'd never guess it. But it is an interactive story. It is a choose-your-own-adventure at heart. Oh, there's another one. There's another one I drew. Also, spoilers, because we didn't get that part in the story yet. Thinking it over, though, you still don't know all that much about this Danmaku stuff. Heck, until Teki mentioned it, I didn't even know Danmaku duels were a thing. So it's like a visual novel without the visual. Yeah, visuals. When Graceline was still in the server, she would occasionally draw stuff for Post Fantasy. I still, on occasion, will draw stuff for Post Fantasy. In fact, the character, that little girl you're seeing on the right side of the screen, that is a character from Post Fantasy. We haven't met her in the story yet. Like the point we're at in the story right now, we haven't met her yet, but that is a character from this story. Where was I? Okay. You didn't even know Danmaku duels were a thing. Sure. Don't know if that'll be fun, though, so... wait, sure. Don't know if that'll be all that fun, though, so... Yeah, why not give it a shot? Teki jumps up from the floor and grabs you by the hand suddenly. You find yourself being dragged out the door to the front of the shrine. Wait a sec! You scream out. And you find your arm being nearly pulled from the socket. What the heck? How's someone so weak looking as this girl so strong? You quickly allot some more spiritual energy to your fragment. Okay, Yokai the Dusk. Getting more allotment points in there, so we're putting some more quartz into the orbment to try and get the yokai strength art. Description: even the weakest yokai strength far surpasses that of regular humans. In fact, your physical strength becomes 3 times stronger. The strain on your arm becomes much less noticeable as you activate yokai strength, yet still Teki is easily able to drag you outside. I know you don't do much exercising, but are you seriously so weak that even being 3 times stronger isn't enough to stand your ground? Seriously, are all beings of fantasy as strong as this girl? As you approach the middle of the shrine's courtyard, Teki lets you go, and you fall to the ground, dirtying your shrine maiden outfit a tad. As you turn around and get up, you can see Teki looking up from well above you, looking down in curiosity. She puts her hand around her mouth and screams, "What are you waiting for? Ain't you gonna fly up?" You return the gesture and yell back, "Are you kidding me? I don't have wings. How do you expect me to fly?" You'll accept that maybe people could fly in the land of fantasy or something, but should you need wings to have to fly anyhow? Oh. Techie mutters out. She slowly begins to descend back to the ground. Then, I guess we could just have a match on the ground. Are people like you usually able to just fly about like that? I think so. If that's the case, then maybe you should just let Techie fight as she normally does. You'll just deal with being on the ground. If you're gonna keep meeting people who can fly, it may be best to learn how to fight them when they're not actually trying to hurt you. No matter what, though, you need a strategy for how you deal with Techie in the fight. Danmaku also shouldn't be able to hurt her, so don't really have much reason to hold back, right? Why not? You know what? Go ahead and fly if you want. I don't mind. You don't know if any fragment is going to give you the ability to fly, or if you'll learn how to do it, or what. So, having the chance to just casually battle someone who can is bound to be helpful. Techie gives a joyous hop, and with one leap, she flies straight into the air above. I'm waiting for the twist in the future where if we get like a Reimu fragment, it's like Reimu's ability, she has the capability like to float, right? But like not to fly. So like what if it ends up meaning like Miko still can't fly, but like she just floats like a few feet above the air? Or above the ground rather. Like just she can never fly. I'm waiting for that punchline, I'm calling it now. Techie gives a joyous hop and with one leap, flies straight into the air above. Okay, she yells. Here I come. I'm not gonna meme. Don't meme. Stop. Stop. Just because Bob's playing Trails in the Sky doesn't mean you get to meme. And with that, you enter your first Danmaku duel. Miko floats like a soap bubble. I was just gonna meme because like it's super inane and it's super cherry picky and it's like really dumb and it's a weird thing to pick out, but like in one of Estelle's S-Craft she shouts "Here I come" before she beats the shit out of whoever she targets. It's not Wheel of Time. I know the exact quote when she uses Wheel of Time, just like how I know the exact quote for Grail Sphere. Fuck, just thinking that makes me want to say it. Stop memeing. Blaring too loudly to ignore. Hang on, let me stop scrolling for a sec. I gotta remember that the music thing is like up here somewhere, and so I gotta keep the text I'm reading like closer to being down here. Cross-dimensional meme stealing? You have seemingly achieved such power by making a story that's just Trails in the Sky but Touhou flavor. Rail Sphere is literally a requirement. For some fights, but don't say that to Bob. He's playing blind and he doesn't want spoilers. I'm just gonna put that out right now. If you're interested though, Tack, Bob does stream Trails in the Sky. He's been streaming it blind. He's been doing first chapter. He's been streaming it on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I've been in chat the whole time because I fucking love those games. I adore those games. I absolutely adore all the characters. I love every single one of them. They're amazing. I love the story. It's great. Trails in the Sky is not a perfect game. It's flawed in some ways, but like I adore it. Okay. Blaring too loudly to ignore, you rustled from your slumber. You see a message you were told about, but quite frankly never expected or really wanted to see. What about douche? Oh, so you've seen this conspiracy board! Akatsuki record memes. Entering Danmaku duel. Challenger, Techie A. You give a sigh, though no one can hear it. Look through the commands left for you and check off the basics. Mental interface loading. Instruction complete. Displaying spiritual power participants. Miko spiritual power compared to Techie spiritual power. Victory conditions. One participant's spiritual power drops to 0 or concedes the duel. So she's participating in a Danmaku duel with a fairy, huh? You know you told her to gather up some fantasy. But ain't she moving a bit too fast? For goodness sakes, you can't even fly yet. You have the interface before you. Run a few quick calculations and read what's going on. It very shouldn't prove too much of a problem for the girl as long as she doesn't do anything stupid. There is that one signature you can feel inside the lake watching, but... Nah, screw it. She can take care of herself. Back to sleep for you. Snug as a bug and a spiritual hug. The board must grow. Before Teki even fires a single Danmaku shot off, you've already decided on your tactic here. When you used Danmaku during the last rite, you eventually felt exhausted from the barrage you let out. In that case, hopefully Teki will feel the same. All you have to do then is wait out whatever she'll do, and then fire off a counterattack. Maybe you'll... I don't know why this is highlighted in dark red, but this says maybe you'll even get a chance to try out grazing. Teki fires about a handful of red Danmaku straight at you. They're moving rather slowly, if you're to be frank. And if you easily dodge far to the left to avoid them... Wait, and you easily dodge far to the left to avoid them. But she doesn't stop there. For the next few seconds, Teki continues to fire off line after line of Danmaku at you, all of varying colors. You thought... Oh shit, Bop-Bop's in the file. You thought... Oh, he's editing in real time! Oh no! He's retconning the story as I read it. Okay, are we done? If I had just gone like a little further, we never would have noticed that. Also, by the way, if you're watching and you want to read along, the link to the Google Drive folder is in the description. We're currently on chapter 1. Okay. Teki continues to fire off line after line of Danmaku at you, all of varying colors. You thought you'd be at a disadvantage since he's flying up high, but really she's just staying still in one place. Experimentally. Have you ever done anything experimentally? Have you ever done anything with the quality of being experimental? Let me experimentally pick up my phone as I esoterically type out what I fictitiously have chosen to type out. It's a nitpick, I know, but like still. Experimentally. Okay, Bob, it's fine. I mean, these are things you're gonna get you're gonna get at these things when you rewrite. Experimentally, you throw out your own Danmaku, a single chain of darkness that you used during the last rites at Teki. She looks excitedly at the shape you made before gracefully spinning out of the way at the last second. You don't feel any more tired after firing that single chain, so you fire off a few more, each time aiming directly at Teki. This time, though, she fires off her own Danmaku as you do yours. You dodge them as they come, but they're faster than before, and one manages to land directly on your chest with a distinct sound. It's the Touhou death noise. Nico loses spiritual power, so she loses a life. Spiritual power, I think, originally was described in a really weird way. Or, I think, Pop-Up had like a really weird, vision of how he wanted it to work. Where, it's supposed to be a health bar, but here it's more laid out like lives. But he envisions it as a health bar, but like it can't work as a health bar because of the way this all works. I think we had arguments about that in the Discord when it came up. It hasn't come up since though, so it's like whatever. Dang it. That didn't hurt exactly, but definitely feel a little weaker. Teki seems to be quite happy though at her small victory. I did it, yes! She says before giving a hat-cocked smile and yelling out, "Gonna give up now?" Of course not. Is that the best you got? You yell back. Honestly, if you hadn't gotten distracted firing Danmaku while dodging Teki's, you likely wouldn't have gotten hit. Teki doesn't even look a little bit tired, so speeding her up might make things go faster. Teki lifts her arms and doesn't fire? No, wait. Rising up from he ground. At the last second, you end up grazing the spiky Dunmock Teki had fired from below you. With that dodge, you hear an odd click sound and feel. Only the slightest... Wait. Oh, okay, the sentence fucked me up. With that dodge, you hear an odd click. You'll hear an odd click sound and feel only the slightest bit better. Is that what it's like to graze? You don't have time to think of it more. You don't have time to think on it more. Bro, I can't read. The ground is allowed a gender, bro. Don't discriminate. Oh fuck, have I just been misgendering the ground my whole life? Oh damn. You don't have time though to. Yeah, here's those. I wonder. Okay, hang on. I'm really curious though. When I do a control F for though, we're currently on though. Oh no, but it counts thought as a though. That's fucking stupid. Don't do that. Why is it counting thought? That's fucking dumb. How do I search for an exact match? I was gonna meme. I was gonna meme and look for the amount of those, because like it's a word that does pop up a lot, but more than it popping up a lot, it's when it like kind of interrupts a sentence. I feel like it messes with the flow, especially since I'm trying to read it out loud. I realize I tripped on that though a few times just now. You can't, bruh. Also, he's doing it again. You don't have time to think on it more as Teki... Wait, you don't have time to think more on it as Teki continues her assault with the ground spikes. They're much harder to read than the line one she was firing out before. But they still follow the same pattern. Fire spike appears at landing point. Spikes go out straight line from there. Dodge, dodge, and dodge again. Teki loses spiritual power from something. Wait, what is she losing spirit? Wait, okay, actual, like, genuine question. What's she losing spiritual power from here? I don't remember. I think I might have brought... I don't remember if I brought this up in the recap I wrote. But what's happening here? Like, is she getting tired out? Or did, like, Miko hit her? Or... did, like, she miss with a spell card or something? Because she hasn't used the spell card yet. Sorry, spoilers. Demoralized, timer reaches limit. I guess it's like a kind of interesting way to portray it, because I guess Miko wouldn't actually see or be thinking of like a timer, right? At the same time, though, because like I get, okay, so like the information we have is the same information Miko gets. That's the information as presented, right? At least whenever Miko's like the POV character. So if she's not aware of attacks having a time limit, then from her perception, from her perspective, Teki is just taking spiritual damage for like literally no reason. But then that's how it looks to the reader as well, like she's taking spiritual damage for literally no reason. I'm trying to think if there's a better way to portray that. Like a better way to like lay that out clearly so it's not like, whoa, where did that come from? Answer rewrite. I mean, okay, fair enough. Teki stops firing as you dodge once again and looks disappointed. I thought you wanted to play. Aren't you at least gonna fire some more Danmaku? I already told you, I don't know what a Danmaku duel was. I didn't know what a Danmaku duel was, even. Am I supposed to fire Danmaku? Neki gives a mighty big huff and looks as if she's tearing up. Whoops. It's a Danmaku duel! Of course you're supposed to use Danmaku, come on! What's the point of playing if you don't fire more too? Can't deny Teki has a point. You honestly feel like you're gonna win this fight right now because you got bored instead of actually beating her. Okay then. But you haven't done much interesting so far. You say, completely honestly. Sure, you may have gotten hit, but that's because of your own carelessness, not because Teki's patterns were actually difficult to dodge. Wow, sounds like me when I played the Touhou 18 demo. So, how about you show me something more interesting? I'll do the same for you if you do for me. You bluff. Since, honestly, you don't know how you performed that thing last night. But if Teki could at least give you a little bit of challenge, you'd appreciate it. Teki crunches her face up thinking about your words, before replying with another bright smile on her face. Okay then, but you better keep your promise. Yeah, sure will. Or at least, you hope you'll be able to. Good. Then take this! Teki screams out as the atmosphere of the courtyard takes a different air. One that reminds you of that place in your dreams with the fragments. With a deep breath, Teki yells at the top of her lungs. Forging fantasy! What in the world? At the declaration of the strange words, you see seemingly ungodly amount of Danmaku begin to come at you. You trip up at the first sudden barrage and find yourself getting hit square on your head as you watch the ground for Danmaku spikes rising from below. Miko gets another hit. This is another piece by Grace Fine. It's overwhelming you. Was she holding back this entire time or something? But no, if that was the case, why wouldn't she open with this? Why hold back? As the question rings out through your mind, you find yourself being hit once again, this time by a Danmaku spike coming from the side. Takes another hit. You definitely feel like you're losing at this point, but you're just finding question after question entering your mind, and you don't know what to do, and click, click, click. And you end up focusing on that sound. The repeating sound of a hard click, or maybe it may be clack, that rings in you as you barely dodge each Danmaku. The sound focuses you. Bring your attention away from the distracting thought and questions you were having to bring you back to the present. Look, part of me tripping over these sentences, some of it might be phrasing, other parts is just the twitch delay in my brain, okay? You can see it somewhat now. Pattern of the Danmaku Teki is firing out. Don't move. The first wave of Danmaku she launches is made to miss if you stay still. Then when she fires one large Danmaku down to the ground, move up, left, or right, depending on how much space you have left. That means you avoid the spikes coming from the side. Keep aware of the Danmaku that remains as Teki fires off the next wave. It's just a combination of what she was doing before, except faster and with one added element. But that made the pattern so much harder for you. It seems like all your grazing and dodging has actually done you some good in the duel. Teki looks a bit tired, but you're feeling ready and raring to go. The atmosphere you've been feeling since Teki declared her attack suddenly disappears. You know this is the chance you've been waiting for. Oh, she lost the spirit point. This time, instead of creating a chain of darkness, you focus on making a single fast-firing Danmaku shot, and fire it right away at Teki's chest, nailing her and sending her spiraling into the ground. Let it go. Ignore it. We have a story to read. Fucking ignore it. We nailed her. We nailed Teki. Rush over to her at a speed you've never gone before thanks to being enhanced with yokai strength and pin Teki to the ground. You give out a grin that you're quite sure makes you look like you're a villain and smugly say, "So, you ready to give up?" Teki, who looked incredibly exhausted, looks down for a second in sadness, before giving out a resigned, "Sure." Don't ignore... Look, I don't have to acknowledge Bob talking about dogging, okay? It's fine. Miko wins. Ouch. Did you hurt her feelings or something? You get off the girl and give her hand to help her back up, which she gladly takes. Look, I'm sorry if it wasn't all that fun, or if I hurt your feelings, or... Ouch! Physically this time. Teki is suddenly giving you one hell of a hug, and it feels like she's gonna break your back at this rate. You're worried for a second that she may be more vindictive than you originally thought before, having thought that thought be cut off by Teki herself. Thank you so much, she says while crying? You can't see her face like this, but it certainly sounds like she's crying. I haven't had a friend for so long, and now you actually played with me, and let me go all out, and... The words keep flowing from this girl, but good God. You understand that just playing with her is somehow a really big thing, but you don't know what you don't know what you're to do with a crying girl. You hesitantly give her a pat on the back. It wasn't anything. I had fun too. Yeah. She lets go of you, and you can see that she's definitely wiping away some tears on her face. Teki takes a moment to gather herself before staring at you with painful sweetness and asking a dreadful question. So, does that mean we're friends? And here's some meme choices, some choices that are there as a joke that you're not actually meant to choose. These are rhetorical choices. Wow, that sure was a boring duel. A familiar voice rings out inside you. Kyohi, perfect timing to save you from actually answering Teki's question. That is, where have you been? Have you met Teki? Here's Teki. Teki, here's Kyohi. Don't know if you can hear her. Teki fisheye stares at you and instantly replies, yes? Great! Let's go inside then. We can talk more about this and not that. Don't meme. Every time I see a line in this story, I always want to... There's always at least like one memeable line in like every installment. For me. You say, rushing the words out of your mouth faster than a race car. Pushing Teki into the shrine's main room and shutting the door behind you. Once you manage to sit down, you feel Teki's and somehow Kyohi's gazes on you. So, can you really hear Kyohi's voice? You really hope that Teki didn't just say that because she was scared of you? Thankfully, Teki doesn't have to answer as Kyohi's voice rings out once more. Yeah, I've connected her to hear me. Though, thought it might be useful. Ah, well, isn't that helpful? Teki looks up at you with curiosity and thankfully no fear on her face. Guess she's just gonna let you take hold of the conversation usually from now on, huh? I'm not sure if you like that or not. So I'm guessing you've got quite a few questions, huh? Teki quickly nods her head in response. Well, I do too. So I guess we can ask Kyohi together. You're not exactly gonna let this opportunity slip by again. Look, Kyohi drawls out. Still haven't done much, you hear? That last rites or whatever you did in that Maku duel gave this world some much needed fantasy. So answer, let's say 5 questions before I'm gonna rest some more. That sounds like a completely arbitrary number. The last time Kyohi didn't really give you much time to debate, so it's best just ask your questions and ask fast. So, again, because it bears repeating, since this is a choose-your-own-adventure kind of meme, at this point in the text file, below these paragraphs, you would have had like a bunch of options to choose from to ask Kyohi. Or in every choice, Bob also has, well, not every choice. I think some of the more recent choices there haven't been, but in like 9 times out of 10 in the choices, he also includes like a write-in option as well. So like you can like, if there's something he didn't think of or something he didn't put as an option, like you can type out like, oh, what if we have Miko do this instead? There's a part coming up where I was doing a lot of that while I was reading. So Kyohi, you said you were a kind of guide in the Yin Yang Orb, but what are you really? A yokai, a fairy, or something else? But unsatisfied with the answer she gave you originally, and you're not going to just let her go with such a vague answer. I am Shikigami, the creator of the Yin Yang Orb. You tilt your head at that. Shikigami? Isn't that one of those death gods? You nervously ask. Were you about to smack talk a death god? Oh no. You feel the eye roll from Kyohi. No. That would be a Shinigami, Kyohi says, with unconcealed exhaustion. Then, a Shikigami is... You begin to ask before being cut off by the sounds of pages flipping rapidly. Looking towards the source, you see Teki with her eyes glued to a page on her now open notebook. Another new term. Shikigami, a program being that's installed through a certain technique. She says before closing her notebook, looking at the ribbon on your head. Huh. I thought... Baba is just... Okay. She said before closing your notebook and looking at the ribbon on your head. Huh. I thought Shikigami was supposed to be like a big car or something, though. Yeah. You could say that. One of them was like that. I'm not quite the same, though. Kyohi manages to get up between giggling fits. Honestly, whoever wrote that down is rather knowledgeable, huh? Oh, you know about that too, Miss Kyohi? Can you read my mind? Teki excitedly asks as her green hair flops about, unrestrained, now parted from her eyes as she stares at the ribbon on your head. Something like that. Kyohi gives another non-answer. Hold on a sec, you say, raising your hand to stop Teki from probably rambling more. Teki, where are you hearing Kyohi come from? You hear her coming from inside, but to actually focus immediately on the ribbon would mean... Can't you tell? It's from the cute ribbon on your head! Yeah, you had a feeling, but best at least to confirm it, you guess. Okay, so like stuff like this here. I kind of sort of alluded to it before, and I think I've mentioned to Bob in the past. But like, the second person narration kind of like fucks me off a little bit. Like when you have like bits like this, like you guess, or like you mean. Because like it's clearly a writer who wants to say like I guess or I mean for like first person narration. Because I don't know. To me, I feel like that flows much better. Like something like this flows better in first person than it does in like second person. Maybe that's just me. Maybe that's a style thing. But you know, just that's what gets me about the second person thing here. Hearing that Kyohi's like a program though. Wouldn't that mean she's meant to be used by someone? Well, you figure that the current user would be you then, right? And she's talking to you and all. But then, that begs the question, no it doesn't, of who originally installed Kyohi into the Yin-Yang Orb. Also, why in the world would something of fantasy be talked about like it's a computer program? That just seems silly. It'll be changed in future rewrite. We change it like after 100k words, but we do change to first person. That's true, but I didn't want to spoil it. Also, that doesn't beg the question. It raises the question. Because begging the question is a logical fallacy, and Kyohi isn't being a debate bro with Miko. That's just me being pedantic. I know that they're synonymous. I know that colloquially begs the question is the same as raises the question, but like, I'm just being a fucking pedantic asshole. It's fine. Okay, here's the core kicking in again. We should be starting to notice a pattern with the core now. Except, does it? You suppose that fantasy and humanity's truth are interconnected with one another. So if terms used in truth are also used in fantasy, could that mean that there's a greater connection between them than it first seems? Or rather, that they can have a connection that isn't detrimental to one side? It's an interesting thought that you'd like to follow later. More things take precedent at the moment, though. You mentioned the creator of the Yin-Yang Orb. Who was that? No. This is a bad pattern. This is a bad pattern I'm pointing out. It's the initial problem I had with the core to begin with. When you were first writing this, when I was first reading it, like, it's the initial problem I had with the core, and it's kind of gone away over time. we'll see more of this pattern form, like, through the rest of this chapter, maybe a little bit of the next chapter, but just keep in mind how the narration changes every time Cruel Reality comes up. Pause. Kyohi, I thought you'd answer my questions. Or at least hope she would. You don't quite trust Kyohi right now, as you only want to talk to her out of necessity to learn about fantasy, truth, and the Yin Orb. As a Shikigami, I have a few restrictions. I'm not allowed to directly tell you who made the orb. But I can say that through the fragments, you'll eventually learn. That's mean of you, Kyohi. Teki pipes up. You said you'd answer... Teki looks awkwardly towards you. Oh, that's right. You never told Teki your name. You blinked twice at that. This girl wanted to be your friend, and she didn't even know your name. That's, something. Miko. It's Miko Hakure. You half-heartedly give out. Unsure if this is really the time to introduce yourself. Yeah, you said you'd answer Miko's questions, but now you're saying you can't. That's not fair. Teki says, puffing out her chest and crossing her arms over. I guess even if you don't see her as a friend or accepted her offer of friendship, Teki still sees you as one, huh? I'm sorry, girl, but there's nothing I can do about it. Kyohi says, with what you can only describe as genuine regret. You didn't get that feeling when she entered you originally. What, does she have a soft spot for people who aren't you? Teki huffs and looks like she's gonna make a big fuss, but before she does, you intervene. Look, Teki, it's fine. I'll find out on my own, okay? Teki looks conflicted, but ends up sitting back down facing away from you. No, wait, it's not you she's facing away from. It's more likely she's looking away from Kyohi. Honestly, you're annoyed you didn't get an answer to your question. Nothing more than to find out yourself. Sure, it's probably not Kyohi's fault, but that doesn't mean you don't feel at least a little bit miffed. You're kind of hoping to be able to look up whoever made the Yin Orb in the Gensokyo Chronicles you've got. Maybe that'll help you instead. Well then, can you at least tell me why the orb wasn't doing anything before now? I'm quite sure my family stories would have at least mentioned some strange voice coming from the Yin Orb at least once. Indeed. I never woke up before now, since it was still too early for anything to be done. Curious? This should be a separate line. Curious can be on the same line as this, but Miko's dialogues should be a separate paragraph. That's a technical error. That's fine. That's a more objective nitpick. It's not like a subjective style thing. So what then? Now's not the right time for things to change? No. What? You think for a second that you must have misheard. That's definitely what Kyohi said. No. What do you mean, no? If it's still too early for anything to change, why would you wake up then? Is this impossible or what? You thought maybe you had a chance to actually change things or help people, but if it's the wrong time, then what if you can't do anything and... Teki's holding your hand. You feel some tears being held back. Were you about to cry? Teki's looking at you with concern in her eyes. She really cares. What a strange person. I'm fine, Teki. Thanks. You gently pry Teki's hands off your own, which holds yours with gentle determination. You feel embarrassed about acting so weak just now, but you'll just have to move forward. Would you like me to explain? Yes, that would be nice, Kyohi. It'd be really nice. When I said that it's still too early, it really is. The issue, though, is that you're the last hope. For far too long. Last hope for what? And though you may ask, you already have a good idea what the answer is. For fantasy. It's too much. It's too much. Does Kyohi really expect you to save an entire piece of the world, more or less? Think back to all those beings you saw during that fragment? It's insane. It's impossible and... Kicking in again. Are you really sure that's the best thing? Flipping the scales of fantasy and truth wouldn't solve anything, right? Just put humans in the same position as beings of fantasy are right now. Just endlessly supporting fantasy won't solve everything forever. But for now, with fantasy as weak as it is, you know you should support it. In pursuit of what you need to know. How am I supposed to do that? How am I supposed to make new fantasy or make whatever is left strong? Finally asking the important questions, huh? You really want to tear off the ribbon and stomp on it a couple times. You've just had a small emotional breakdown, and Kyohi could at least show. Could Kyohi at least show some lasting sympathy? Okay, like I think first couple times I read this, and like maybe even a little now, I'm finding a hard time giving Miko some sympathy, because like I get that the story wants me to believe that like she's having like some kind of like she's having some kind of like staring at the abyss moment right now, but like I feel like it doesn't quite sell it enough, right? And maybe that's like a little too soon. Like rather than having like some emotional breakdown, she'd break down into tears. She'd be more questioning, like, wait, then what the hell is the point? Why wake up? Like, it'd be more like she questions it rather than it has like this kind of emotional effect on her this early. Miko breaks too easily. Now, I could spend far too long telling you all the details. I'll just do this. We have new terms added to the glossary. We've basically just expanded the fantasy term in the glossary with extra information from Kyohi. So again, that's part of the reason we didn't read this before, was because a little bit of spoilers here and there. Like a twig. Small jingle of only a few notes plays. Oh wait, hang on. I got a meme for that. Hang on, I got a meme for that. Oh, wait, I don't think it's here. Hang on. Wait, I got a meme for this. I got a really good meme for this, okay? Okay. Alright, you ready? A small jingle of only a few notes plays. Kyohi speaks once again. There, just touch the ribbon and you'll know that stuff. I told you I had a good meme. You close your eyes, and you can feel your eyebrows twitching uncontrollably. You could do this, just like that. And you didn't tell me why! You yell as you get towards the end of the sentence with your emotions bursting forwards. Can't help but be incredibly angry at the simplicity with which Kyohi can give you answers, but seemingly doesn't. I would phrase this instead as, instead of seemingly doesn't, I would say seemingly chooses not to. Or simply just chooses not to. Which I guess kind of means the same thing, right? I mean, I don't know. You get that one? Oh, that's right. I think you've been around for some of the E streams. That's right. That's the little jingle that plays when you open up a chest in E's. Or when you get like a special item in E's. Excuse me. Unless you're talking about the music track playing right now. Then you would get this meme. You've heard it before. Where were we? You can't help but get incredibly angry at the simplicity with which Kyohi can give you answers, but she seemingly doesn't. Sure, you know more now, but what's the reason for not knowing this sooner? What is she, some kind of mysterious mentor that only steps in after it's too late? Opening your eyes shows you Teki with an understanding smile on her face. You guess she's used to receiving this from herself or something? At least retroactively with her notebook, maybe? You don't know. And you're too mentally exhausted after that duel with Teki and the talk with Kyohi to think any more about it. Look, I'm tired of this, so how about you ask the last question, Teki? Because really, you're out of a care to give. You already got a plan for what you want to do later, but you really need to rest before then. Wow. You really are tired, huh? Actually, This is kind of like Mimi, because I'm pretty sure what was her spiritual power before? Like, I think like she literally just took damage from talking to Kyohi. That's the joke. I like that punchline. That's cute. Kind of sucks if she had to get into a real fight after that, but like, it's a cute joke nonetheless. See, this would have fit before when we were fighting Teki, but we're not fighting Teki anymore. Yes, Kyohi, I am. You say, try not to give another outburst at her. Miss Kyohi? Since Miko said it's okay to ask something, I'd like to know. Teki squirms for a bit as she struggles to bring up her question. Past hesitation, she holds for reasons unknown. You were watching our Tamaku duel the entire time, right? How? You're gonna be right back. Okay. See you when you're back. Ah, yes. I am in the orb as a sort of constant observer. I prefer to sleep, though. I was first awake. I determined that Miko didn't need my help, so I tried going back to sleep. I did catch the fight, though, since Maku is loud. Even as tired as you feel, you catch on to Kyohi's words about help. So, that must mean that she has some capacity to help you when you get into a bad situation, then. And that she's choosing to sleep instead of being awake and active with you. Great. So she's more lazy and actually needing to conserve energy by the sound of it. Thanks to Clips the VH, you yawned. Look, that's the meme. I'm trying to get into the role. I'm not doing voices and everything, but I'm trying to speak with an inflection or an intonation that I find appropriate, and Kyohi is just super sleepy right now. As an apology to you, girl, I'll tell you that I can see the spiritual power that I have. The Maku lowers that power, but so does mental exhaustion. Heck, Miko, you're actually really low. And so are you, girl. We should probably both get some rest. Wow, so you weren't just imagining things before. Really seems Kyohi has a soft spot for Teki. You'll have to wait and see her interactions with more people before you determine if she just dislikes you. A yawn so loud you're certain it's vibrating the entire shrine. Rings out from Kyohi. Now then, I'll wake up again during your next battle, let's say, okay? I mean, not like I got a choice. She grumbles out. So don't go getting into a fight anytime soon, alright? With that, you feel Kyohi's pressure fade. Now it's just you and Teki in the room once more. It's quiet as both of you reflect on what you've learned. So, Miko, can I stay at the shrine, please? Or at least you're reflecting on it. No, wait. You see Teki's notebook open with fresh writing on it. When did she do that? Did she really write down everything already? Wait, you mean like sleep over here from now on, or just stay around for a bit? Because either way, if you plan to go investigate that ghost house without her, and you're not sure how you feel about leaving Teki at the shrine by herself. Well, I'd like it if I could stay here with you. I think it'd be fun to live with you. You're fun and interesting and cool, and it looks like there's things that are fun around here too. You really wish you could say she was exaggerating, but now. Wait, what? You really wish you could say she was exaggerating, but now. I'm not sure if this is meant to be a period based on the way this reads. Everything you know about Teki points to her, should be space there, being genuine about her words. You honestly don't like the wrongfully placed praise. There's a guest room in the shrine you could let Teki stay in. There's also the shed out back. It's not much, but you've, on occasion, fallen asleep in there, so there's a bed-ish thing in there she could use. Alternatively, Teki must have been living somewhere else before she came to the shrine, so presumably she can go somewhere else while you're not around or during the night. Okay, so I think the word that the story uses in the rest of this chapter is guest room. And in the doc, it doesn't say what the choice was, but the choice was to have Teki stay in the shed. I'm just going to point that out because later in this chapter, we're going to see the words guest room come up. when it's actually the shed she's staying in. You shrug your shoulder. Yeah, sure, you could stay. I've got a spare room, so... And she's already pounced on you. She, really loves hugs, huh? Hey, now, no need to get so touchy. You say as he gently pry Techie off you. Again. There's gonna be some ground rules we've got to set. And rules you have to follow, so don't think this will be all fun and games, got it? You sternly tell Techie with your hands on her shoulders, trying to keep her from shaking up and down too much. Yeah, I got it. Whatever it is. You're all for her being excited to live here and all, but shouldn't she at least wait until you tell her what those rules are before saying, sure, that's fine? What if you were some weirdo and told her she had to cook for you like every morning or something? You huff. Stand up and start pacing back and forth. Now listen up. You should and here? That's confusing me. I mean, I think maybe what you're going for is like you should and do hear the sound of page, but even that seems a little odd to me. But like I think what you meant to say is should and do, which is like not phrasing I would personally use, but I guess that works. You should and do hear the sound of pages turning. That's starting to become familiar to you. Take a short breath in, straighten your back, narrow your eyes to give yourself a greater air of authority. In your dirty shrine maiden outfit, admittedly, but it's still better than last time. Rule number 1. Keep things tidy. I already cleaned up enough around the shrine, and I don't need to clean up your messes as well. I know you're being a bit presumptuous here, but seeing the energy Techie has makes you think she'll try making breakfast one morning and you'll wake up to the entire shrine covered in batter. Rule number 2. Stay out of my room unless told otherwise. I didn't like it when you popped in there today. I don't want you to pop in later, unless it's an emergency, of course. Hopefully you don't need to tell Techie that last part, but better safe than sorry. You're the speaker of being odd. Sentences are merely a strange creature you're not used to using. Oh, so they're like a Pokemon. Okay, the core is kicking in again. Try and figure out what the pattern is here, or at least maybe I'm seeing the pattern, and maybe like anybody else who might read it might not see the same pattern. Techie's notebook has been shown to have strange, out-of-place knowledge in it. You could really do with knowing what's in there, but don't want her to force her to show it to you. So a rule then. One is the promise that she'll have to make if she wants to live at the shrine. Rule number 3. No secrets. When living with me, you and I aren't going to keep secrets from each other. It's deceptive. You don't have anything to lie about right now to Techie. And Techie might have something she doesn't want to tell you. This will only work if Techie actually wants to listen to you, though. So you'll just have to have hope. Last one. Rule number 4. You didn't think that far ahead. Rule number 4. I'll think of it later, but there's gonna be one. You awkwardly get out. So much looking cool. More scribbling sounds. Once you turn heel to face Techie, you see the notebook she holds up once again closed. She looks up to you with a smile. Yepers. That response is much quicker than you expected. Don't you have any questions though? Nope. God dang it. We'll work on that no question thing later. For now, follow me. I'll show you to your room. I'll show you to the room. I'm okay, spoilers, it hasn't come up yet. But I'm waiting for like some moment later where like rule number 4 becomes a thing. It probably won't. Miko probably fucking forgot. You both go over to the spare room and show Techie around it. We'll take time to point out the various important places in the shrine, like the bathroom, the kitchen, etc. It takes a bit, but it's around noon by the time you're done showing her around and end up back at the spare room. Techie's been rather quiet for the most part, just giving oohs, ahs at random times. She even did it when you were walking down the hallway. Is that something she read she was supposed to do in her notebook? Actually, when you think about it... Hey! Techie interrupts your thought. Again, with that yell and a tug on one of your overly long sleeves on your outfit. What are we gonna do now? Oh, this is actually good timing then. Well, I'm planning on going out later to a ghost house. Seeing a sparkle forming in Techie's eyes, you quickly cut that hope off. But I've already decided I'm going alone. That's later though. So in the meantime, I was thinking... You trail off. As while you do know what you want to ask, it feels somewhat strange. Though you couldn't quite pinpoint why. Chase the shape of the ribbon that adorns your head, and that feeling fades away. I'd like to cross-reference your notebook with the Gensokyo Chronicles. That's a book all about fantasy, to see if I can find anything out. You know that there's those odd entries in Teki's notebook? The ones that she hasn't written herself? And they have strange information in them. You could do with comparing the knowledge in there to what you have in the Chronicles. Teki twirls her fingers, considers your request. She sits back against the nearest wall, and brings her notebook close to her chest. Playing with the edge of her notebook, she finally responds. Well, I'd say no, but sure. On one condition, though. Suddenly you find yourself dragged to the floor to sit alongside Teki against the wall. Yokai strength really proven itself not to be much. Now Lisa gets an excited Teki. You let me help. I think that'd be fun to do. That's it? You were worried she was gonna have some demand you were worried she was gonna demand you say you're her friend, but this is something you'd have asked for on your own anyhow. Yeah, sure. I don't mind having a helping hand, you say with a shrug. But first I'm gonna get some food from the pantry. You haven't eaten anything since you first woke up this morning, so you're feeling more than a bit peckish. I think I pointed this out once before. Peckish, I don't think you hyphenate peckish, it's just one word. Nitpicks. I'll get you something too, alright? Sure, but I haven't eaten since I last ate. That's a tad redundant. What, has it been like 30 years or something since she last ate? Or with her memory problems, maybe it was just yesterday. You get up and go to the kitchen and retrieve some food from the pantry. As you stare out over various foodstuffs within, you feel in the mood for some dried jerky, though you don't recall ever really liking the stuff. Along with the usual stuff you eat around now, you take that. You admit, you usually only have some rice, water, and some sake on the rare occasion. Wait, she does? Okay, you're gonna see later in chapter 4 why this stands out as being extremely unbelievable. Sorry, spoilers. But overall, you don't eat much of anything. That's more so because you can't afford much else than wanting to live with so little. Wait, that's more so because you can't afford much else? Oh, rather than okay. It's because you can't afford much else rather than wanting to live aesthetically or whatever. Okay. But you lived your whole life not having much in excess, so you don't really mind at this point. It's on the way back to Teki's room that you take a bite out of the jerky, not being able to wait until you reach the room to start eating. When you take the bite, you feel a certain lightness that you aren't familiar with. On a hunch, you touch the ribbon and look into its font of knowledge. We've gained a new piece of info about the fragment. We can now unequip it because we've eaten meat. That is its unequipped condition. Eat meat. Wait, what? You can't actually remove... Wait. You can't actually remove the dang ribbon finally? I think you would say can here. You give a good old tug on a thing in excitement, only to find that you still can't remove it. You growl in frustration. What, did that mean you can remove all the allotment? Well, you'd say that's nice and all, but why'd you do that? Bruh, it's fine. They're typos. I guess this contraction is technically correct. Like, why would you do that right now? But maybe it's just me, but whenever I read why'd, I usually read it as why did, not why would. I don't know if that's how like most people, I don't know if that's how like it would register in most people's brains though. I mean, it is technically correct because like it would be like a contraction of like why and would. Why would you do that right now? No good reason to, so you keep it equipped unless you, for whatever reason, change your mind. You carefully navigate to your room, briefly to retrieve the Gensokyo Chronicles and return to Teki's room. Putting down the food, you offer some to Teki, which she graciously accepts, and the two of you begin to go over both the Gensokyo Chronicles and Teki's notebook. So we're gaining some more information. We have Shikigami, that we learned about from the Gensokyo Chronicles, Fairy, that we also learned about from the Gensokyo Chronicles. So we're getting these new terms, and we have sources that we attribute. That we have sources that we attribute in the glossary page itself. And the chorus kicking in again. fantasy Techie's notebook. So the the definition of fantasy according to the notes in her notebook. So Miko's recovered a bit. It's as you go through your research, you find that the two books help complement each other. While the Gensokyo Chronicles has a lot of information, Techie's notebook has information that's missing from the Chronicles and vice versa. You're relaxing quite a bit, so you're not looking too far into each entry past comparing the definitions you have from each. But it's still helpful. At the end though, when you look to see what's spoken of in fantasy in the Chronicles, you find a disturbing entry. One that is scrawled and rushed compared to everything else you've seen in the book. Most of it is so poorly written you can barely read it. Fantasy doesn't matter what we do. We'll stop it from fading. Oh, doesn't know what to do either. Doesn't know what to do, and neither do I. A plan that might flung future, won't tell any. Why is this happening? It's supposed to world from the outside, but it's now affecting us too. Happened to me. It's like a fragmented entry. Reincarnation. They're even going to be? I don't know what's going to happen. No one does, and we're scared. Look at Techie, cheerfully eating away, and decide that it's best that she doesn't see this right now. We've already broken Rule 2. No, that's Rule 3. We've already broken Rule 3. Rule number 3, no secrets. But right away, Miko's keeping a secret from Techie. That's kind of fucked up. You look at Techie cheerfully eating away and decide that it's best that she doesn't see this right now. Maybe later, but it's getting to around that time and you'd rather not leave Techie after dropping something on her lap like this. Could panic her, maybe. Still, as you close the Chronicles, you find the words staring back at you. The implication is that the version of the Chronicles you have are an original from the land of fantasy. But to have something so old, did no one notice how important this was before? There's no way, since your parents read from the dang thing. You're shaking your head, you clear those thoughts and set them aside with much else for a later date. What's important now is finally going out to that ghost house. Hey Techie, I'm gonna go out now. I'm gonna go by myself. So just stay here and please don't do anything too much. Yeah, it's the best way you could put it, you think. Hopefully. Techie pouts a little, but she doesn't give any real signs she won't listen to you. So, it's time. With confidence, you grab your bag containing the Gensokyo Chronicles, map of Zen, your flip phone, and head out of the shrine to explore Zen for the first time in forever. You head out to the ghost house in your casual outfit. You know it's getting late. People are starting to go home at this point. You really rather not stand out too much while walking around, especially if something goes wrong. You'll use your map and phone to locate the ghost house. Great girls who... Yeah! Another character is popping up soon. I didn't want to spoil it. It's in an area of Zen where the houses have only been recently built, so there shouldn't be too many people there. Good. And I guess it also makes sense for a ghost to live somewhere unpopulated. And though it's not exactly close, yokai strength should make the trip much easier on you than what you normally experience. Though the shortest trip does give you a stark reminder how different Zen is to the area around the shrine, where the buildings have no consistent height or shape, simply being designed for efficiency at the expense of all else. Not even consideration for the other buildings around them. Different companies' designs standing out vividly from one another, yet all having the same underlying feeling of similarity. None shine too brightly, as while light pollution may be used to generate power, people are still encouraged to use as little as possible to allow the night sky to be easily viewed, to see the wondrous man-made machines that encircle the world. Though overall, the design of the buildings feel like they encroach upon you, as if they wish to push you inside and then remove the doors to keep you there. Despite the wide open sky above you, you still feel nevertheless enclosed, with nowhere to go. You have to actively choke down a building fear for each person and building you pass by. God, you hate going out. But thankfully the trip is over before it gets too bad, and you arrive at the ghost house that you heard about online. The house is quite clearly abandoned. But that's due to the vague feeling such a place gives. That such a place gives out, rather than being because of some major degree of disrepair. In fact, it's the opposite. The place looks strong and imposing, as if it'd take a concentrated attack to take down. Take a short breath, walk inside, through an open window you spot not far from the locked front door. The inside is quite different from the outside. In fact, it's positively cozy feeling. With rugs laid out, nice inviting warm lights coming from the electronics like a TV, an empty fish tank, and from another room, a soft, ever-changing glow. You can feel your heart hitch, and you let out a small eep. With an unsteady heart, you decide to slowly approach the other room. Hopefully, the ghost doesn't know you're here. Probably supposed to be a period here. Hopefully the ghost doesn't know you're here. You'd like to engage with them on your own terms, after all. It's not like you really know what ghosts are like, too. Let alone this one. What if it's like those ones that get angry at you just for being there? Or throw bricks at you for talking to them? Like those hokey old shows from decades ago? What if that was all legit? But on the other hand, well, you did come here to find a ghost. So you'll stand up proud, go towards whatever the weird color-changing glowing thing is, and hopefully not die. Gotta skip musical spoilers. Bring up your hoodie to fully encompass your head as you slowly approach the other room. You're not scared. No, not at all. It's not like you used to cry when watching those old ghost movies years back and refused to go to sleep without a charm plastered in your room after watching that one about the ghost kid who just barged in. Nope. And you're fine. Totally so fine, in fact, that you'll go and show that light that may or may not be a deadly ghost a real show. Once you slowly scoot over to the room that is. Squeak. Why must these floors be so squeaky? Shake your head and try to gather up your wits and courage. As you finally close enough to the other room, you peer in, you see a computer. You instantly loosen up in relief as you realize that it's just a computer monitor that scared you. Then it hits you. Why is the computer on? About time you showed up, a voice suddenly shouts from above you. Ah! You scream as you back out of the room. The sight burned into your mind. A girl with long black hair that hung high, looking down on you with her pale arms reaching out. Is that a ghost? Is that a mean ghost? Oh no, did you do something that upset her? Are you dead? Ah, it's too soon! While you're trying not to hyperventilate, you feel a hand touch your shoulder from behind and jump as far forward as you can into the room, activating darkness. You need your security blanket. As you curl up with the sphere of darkness, you hear a sigh, and then nothing. Moments pass as you finally calm down enough to begin to think that evil-looking ghost may just be gone. You hear the same eerie voice call out to you. So, you okay, or what? You scared or something? What's with that ball, girl? Can't see a thing through it. But like, I'm not blind. I know you're in there, just kind of being polite, not invading your personal bubble or whatever. You change your thoughts on the ghost's voice after hearing her speak again. That's just way too casual compared to more or less every ghost movie has told you. You mean, they're probably not the most accurate source, but still. What if they were right? Right? You didn't just panic over nothing, totally? Oh, we got some illustrations of the new character. More by Gray Slime. Yeah, it's a ghost. We're in some deep shit. Slowly you lower the sphere of darkness and get a less, well, horrifying look at the ghost. Just like you, she's wearing a hoodie, though hers is white and has floppy cat ears attached. And now that her messy black hair isn't entirely covering her face, you see that she has very, very deep blue eyes. You even say the ocean can't quite compare to them. Going for a matching set, she's also wearing long, baggy white pants. See, okay, so like, you would want to, okay, this is a style thing, but like, if you're gonna phrase it as going for a matching set, you would want the descriptors for the way her pants look and the way her hoodie looks to be together. You don't want to break them up by saying she has blue eyes, because if you say that she's going for a matching set, that makes it sound like her pants are going to be blue and not white. Because you've already described the blue thing, and then you're describing it being part of a matching set. Because that's like the most recent piece of context we have when you say that. This is more like style criticism. Or like how you would like maybe structure this a little bit differently. I hit my mic by accident, sorry about that. Going for a matching set, she's also wearing long white baggy pants. Lots of pockets on them, but doesn't look really tight. Wait, lots of pockets on them, but doesn't look really tired. Don't know what that means. Bags hang under her eyes. Bags hang under her eyes so heavily that you're surprised her face isn't falling off. But nevertheless, she's still got one shirt. She's got one heck of a cocksure grin on her. The girl floats onto the couch, which moves on its own. That was across from the television. She lands without a lick of grace present, lays about the couch, laying her legs across it. This is all being far more casual than what you expected. Maybe you should have brought Techie after all. Heck, she'd better be able to talk to this girl than you, probably. Nice to meet you, Miss Shrine Maiden. Name's Tomo. Been waiting for you. The girl, Tomo, says, as if you've come for an appointment with your doctor. Oh, fuck, yeah, that's right. That's the name of this part. I forgot about that. Context to come. I'm sorry for that. For how I acted, I mean. And you are. But honestly, you're more concerned with pissing off the ghost lady who can move things with her mind than... Should be than. That's a huge pet peeve of mine. That should be then. That should be than. Again, though, like, usually... Okay, I said this at the beginning of the stream, and I feel like it bears repeating right now because I am, like, pointing out these nitpicks. Usually something like this would, like, piss me off. Enough, it would distract me enough that, like, I might actually just, like, fucking stop reading. But like I said before, I think the actual storytelling here is strong enough, and it shines through that to the point where it's like, I can actually kind of sort of ignore it. Which is like, for me, that's saying something, because I'm not kidding when I say, like, that's enough to, like, turn me off. Anyway, what the heck? Where were we? Okay. You're more concerned with pissing off the ghost lady who can move things with her mind than actually feeling sorry for how you reacted. It's your first time meeting a ghost, alright? If she has a problem with how humans portrayed her kind, then she should have done something about it. Totally. Because that's, like, something she could have done. You scratch your face at those thoughts. You don't really have any reason to think so poorly of the girl already. You just don't feel quite comfortable with her still. You shake off these thoughts, though, for the meantime. Because there's something about the casual introduction you received that just sticks out at you. How do you know I'm a Shrine Maiden? You blurt out, because really, how? You came here without your Shrine Maiden outfit specifically to avoid being too recognized. This ghost knows somehow? What, is she some funky website like losershrinemaidensnearyou.com? What? I didn't notice that big old black at Denmaki you let out. Girl, even a neat like me could feel that shiz. A neat? What? Isn't that really a modern thing to say or even know? Okay, I think when I did the I think when I wrote up my recap for this chapter, I highlighted this as like, because this is supposed to take place in like the distant future, right? Like the far future, like at minimum like 150 years in the future. So like neat would be a pretty old term, right? Oh wait, Bob's getting mad. It's super boomer. Okay. Yeah, in context with the setting, neat would be a very boomer term. It's not that she shouldn't know what a neat is, because neats could still potentially exist in this setting. Maybe. I don't know enough of... There hasn't been enough explained about the setting to determine whether or not neats could still conceivably exist in it. But if they do, the term neat would still be old as fuck. It wouldn't be like a modern term. It'd be like a 200-year-old term. Hot Shrine Maidens in your local area? Fuck. The ghost girl Tomo gives a shrug as best she can from the couch. Helps I got a couple links to the outside too. She gives an enigmatic grin. Good girl says too. Hold it. That bothers you. So while before you thought that Teki might have been hit by a stray Danmaku shot before, the way that Tomo's speaking about the Danmaku display makes it sound like you were broadcasting your feelings out for anyone to tune into. That's worrying. Because then, who else might have heard you? There's also something else about what she said that catches you, though. Good, you start to say, wondering who exactly those girls are, before Tomo interrupts you like everyone else does. No, hold it. Tomo says, raising her hand up to signal to you to stop speaking. Fine, I'll ask you questions. But I got a couple myself. Like, what are you doing here? Kinda in the middle of nowhere. And can't say she's wrong about that. This is basically the most deserted place in the entirety of Zen. Hesitantly you respond, I came looking around here because of a rumor I read online. It's technically not a lie. You did come here hoping to find an ally or something like that. But you just feel like you shouldn't start out with that. Tomo seems quite a bit different from Teki. And not just in that one is a kid-like fairy and the other is possibly a revenge-filled ghost. The way she straight up interrupted you makes it feel as if Tomo is the one in control here, not you. Rumor, huh? Let me guess. It went something like, I heard if you go to one of those two houses in Zalgo Text at Upper Zen, also Zalgo Text, you'll find a house where the lights are always on. The TV will run shows seemingly at random, and you'll randomly hear laughter. Ooh, spooky, ain't it? Tomo says, with perhaps what must be the biggest grin on her face before giving a loud cackling laughter that reverberates in the house. You feel a headache rising up as you hear her say the real name of Zen and whatever the area of it you're in. Even still, to your ears, they sound like complete gibberish and it hurts. Ha! I knew those gals were still going at it. But I didn't expect someone to actually come here. You're really a riot, kid. Tomo sits up on the couch now, looks you directly in the eye, quickly losing all amusement she had accumulated during your conversation thus far. Wait, was she just faking how she felt then? Well, that she could so easily act so well was disturbing. I'm bored. Huh? Send thing second. Send thing a second. I'm bored. Now I ain't letting you leave until I'm not. So what you gonna do to make me not bored out of my mind, lass? Wait, are you serious? You incredulously ask. Because, really, what? She's so bored that she won't let you leave? That's just stupid. Look, girlie, I get 0 visitors. My friends I never see. And all I got's an internet connection and a TV. You try having fun. Tomo pauses for a second before looking off to the side, giving a light cackle as if she just thought of a funny joke. Huh. Guess you'd actually know. Wait. Guess you'd know actually, seeing as you live in a lame old shrine girl. Live as a lame old shrine girl. I don't know how to fucking laugh this laugh. Ka. Okay. So it wasn't funny. Okay. You can understand her wanting to... Is this a musical spoiler? It is, but not for Trails in the Sky. It's for Trails from Zero, which may be worse. Okay. You can understand her wanting to know why you're here, but demanding you do something with her on threat of not leaving is worrying to say the least. But theoretically, what could she do if she just decided to leave? With the fragment, you could probably escape without too much trouble, but then you'd have come here and achieved nothing except possibly make an enemy, so you might as well entertain the could-be scary ghost lady? Great. You kind of remember hearing back in school about a flicks and chill thing? You think that was about, like, watching movies with friends, but you never really had any friends, so you didn't really do it. So, maybe that'd be something she'd want to do? Tomo did mention she doesn't get a chance to hang out with her friends. Are those the girls she mentioned before? So, maybe she'd appreciate it. Fine, you're gaining... Dude, you don't even know when this part plays. I could tell you when this part plays. It plays during a part you would actually like, but like, fine, I'll skip it because like, it's spoiling you. I see you have a TV. Maybe we could, flicks and chill together? You get out so quietly, you sound like a whisper in the wind. You swear your current fragment's passive is creating awkward silence instead of anything else as time continues to pass, and Tomo looks at you with a growing look of you don't know what on her face. Did you say something wrong, or maybe that was insulting since you're not friends, or maybe you're just being a complete idiot who's about to die since you're upset that might be about to hurt you, Ghost, or you're worrying too much. How could I usually... Look, it's on shuffle, okay? It's on a random RNG, okay? I can't control which track comes next. I'm sorry. I don't know how I'm supposed to make this laugh. It's supposed to be like I don't know how to fucking do it. She's cackling. That's it. Current guess is you're not worrying enough. It starts off as a low and quiet cackle before swiftly it gets louder. It grows into an out-of-control laugh that feels like it's going to shake the foundations of the house. It's honestly kind of disturbing how much she sounds like one of those villains from those movies you watched right before they tried killing the hero. But thankfully, she becomes quieter quite quickly, and you're left in the silence of the room, beside the occasional giggles emanating from Tomo. She wets a tear from her face, pounces over to you, and before you can react, she hugs you to quickly bring you back to the couch beside yourself. God, why you? Why does everybody seem to want to hug you? You're not a huggy person, darn it! You can only be grateful that Tomo didn't hold on to you as long as Teki did. Like that? Don't meme! Don't fucking meme! Stop. Stop. God, fuck. I was about to meme again. But I stopped myself. I'm not gonna do it, even if you ask me. I'm not gonna do it. It's a quote from a video, if you must know, but I'm not gonna meme it. It's fine. Yeah. Kick. I'm sure we can do that. Yeah, I got like the best thing in mind too. What's your name, girl? Something like Miko, right? Just ellipsis. Oh my god. That's really it, ain't it? Oh my god, that's so... Tomo squeals out, but really, you're aware that she's now super excited and getting a TV set up to watch something called... Okay. He's memeing it, but it says Fate Stay Night Unlimited Blade Works. God, you wish you could understand these modern titles without getting a headache. And again, okay, another thing. It says Fate Stay Night Unlimited Blade Works, but again, this story is set like 150 years at least in the future. So, like, Unlimited Blade Works should actually be like an anime that's like old as fuck in this setting, right? Like, it'd be like if one of us watched like fucking Casablanca, like even older. So it's bizarre that Miko can not only not read it, but also that she says that it's a modern title. Be right back. Okay, see you when you get back, Tech. Hopefully we're still going, because I think this is taking a bit longer than I expected. I was expecting to maybe get through chapter 2 tonight, but maybe we'll get to it next time. Don't know if we're going to do story time next week, but sometime in the near future we'll do another story time. Very near future, because I want to keep reading through these, because I genuinely really like this story. I think it's really good. Even if Bob is even if Bob is embarrassed by like the early writing of it, like I still really enjoy it. I still think it's really good. God, you wish you could understand these modern titles without getting a headache. Just bury your head in your chest in embarrassment, trying to hide your face. You feel your cheek. I'm gonna skip this one. You can feel your cheeks heat up slightly. You're already somewhat relieved that Teki didn't notice or bring it up, but to just have it said so bluntly is embarrassing. Hey, come on. Can't watch the show if you don't look at it. You feel somehow Tomo tug your head up by the scruff of your hoodie and find her quite a bit closer than before. You really hope you'll find someone that eventually isn't so touchy. Hours pass and midnight approaches. Tomo is now sleeping next to you on the couch, apparently too tired from watching TV, despite being a ghost and all. You want to sigh at the inconvenience of the person you came looking for falling asleep, but you'd rather not wake her up and risk a grumpy ghost. The show was decent, you guess. Something about a loser wanting to be a hero, but not caring that they couldn't do anything and do something anyway. It's kind of confusing, honestly. But you don't watch TV, like, ever, so You don't really feel like you're one to judge. You have so many questions you wanted to ask, but you ended up getting sidetracked again. Because of course you did. Grimace at that. That you're wasting time on something that doesn't matter. Because you should be concentrating, pursuing fantasy and truth with everything you have, and yet here you are, having effectively wasted hours away watching some stupid show with Tomo instead of anything else. You know you shouldn't be too you shouldn't be too hard on yourself. But it's hard not to see this excursion as a failure for now. At least until you can talk to Tomo more tomorrow. Makes you pause. Tomorrow, huh? Just a day alone, you've already done so much. Core's kicking in again. But it feels like so little. You may learn a bit about fantasy and truth, but more questions keep popping up. More questions, more questions, and more questions, and more. You need answers. Those lay in one place. War impulse races through your entire body, from the top of your head down. You know you left Teki back at the shrine, but you're overwhelmed by an immense tiredness. So much so that you can't... Okay, we gotta stop this, and we gotta go to the other track, because, back in the sea. Again, I wouldn't normally play my own music on stream, in most cases, but like, again, this is a request from the author, okay? When you open up your eyes again, you're in the sea of stars. Guess that means you fell asleep. Bothersome, but is this exactly what you wanted? To find answers? And okay, it shouldn't be too loud, but I'm gonna keep it low. Find answers, and this place is probably your best bet to find any. Once again, find yourself using the sea to simply reflect on things that have happened. This may not be the point of the sea, though, considering the near constant feeling of exertion the fragments put upon you, as if calling you towards them. I don't know if exertion would be the right word here, because exertion feels like an expense of some kind of energy. Maybe like attraction, or like there's gotta be a better word than attraction. Like, cause I get the idea is that Miko is feeling like some kind of pull from like all the fragments, to some degree. But considering the near constant feeling of exertion the fragments put upon you, as if calling you towards them, it's odd too how they've changed since the last time you were here. The only fragment that still draws your attention the same way is the one with the girl with the red ribbon. Why would the fragments change? And where is the sea? Is it inside the yin-yang orb? Or perhaps somewhere else, like another dimension? And before you came here, the orb in its current form seemed to respond to your desire for answers. Could it actually be somewhat sentient then? If so, is Kyohei the one in control of it, or is there something more that you don't know about? Like, whoever created her, like whoever... This is weirdly phrased. Like, whoever created her really... I think I know what you mean, but... could be phrased a little better, maybe. You shake your head away from those thoughts, trying to clear up your confusion. The sea flows with fragments, as its water lifts you up and down in a gentle motion. It's a nice calming influence and helps you gather your thoughts from the bombardment of questions that were coming to you before. But even as others drift away with the tide, one question still lingers. What's the point of the sea? It's not simply to gain more fragments. If it was, it feels as if you wouldn't have had these chances to reflect. You'd be forced to examine a fragment instead. At least, the slight pull you feel leads you to think. Yeah, that's right, it's a pull. You felt it the first time you were here too, innately attracted to the fragment with the girl with the red ribbon. But as you look around again, despite thinking that you occasionally do see the fragments from before, you don't feel the same connection to them as last time. They're staying close by, but seem to be respecting your choice? So what then? Is the point of the sea just to learn? Is it just an overglorified schoolhouse then? Even as you float by, You do chuckle at the thought of oversimplifying this grand, mysterious place as a special type of school. Closing your eyes, you picture it, the different roles in the school. Those of students, teachers, classmates, the class, etc. But then, if this is a school, who's the teacher? Fragments? No, they don't know anything per se. Instead, from the one that you have, they'd probably be the textbooks in the analog. You certainly hope the teacher isn't Kyohi, or you'd probably fail the class. At least, there's an easy answer for what the goal of the class is: to successfully restore fantasy in the modern world. So, does that mean you're allowed these moments to just think on things because who or what controls this place thinks it'll help you complete the class? Annoyingly enough, though, this reflection you've taken here doesn't seem all that useful. After all, I would think about the seat directly let you gain. It's not like thought quickly buries itself in your head like a parasite. You find yourself repeating it. You find it repeating over and over again. At first quietly, but gradually becoming louder and louder. It's like it's actually live. Got a skill. You gained revelation. Number 1. So presumably that means there's more revelations, or that added a value to something. Welcome back, Tak. So, we can pause the music I composed and listen to music that far, far better composers made instead. Okay, so this is chapter 2, or chapter 1. This is chapter 1. We've read the prologue plus chapter 1. It's about 11:30 now, which would have been about as far, because we started late. This would be about as late as I wanted to go if we were going to go late. Because it is pretty late. So, if you didn't pick up on the pattern that I perceived when it comes to the cruel reality core, then I feel that I don't know if I should point it out now or wait until next story time when we go through chapter 2, because it does come up a bit in chapter 2 as well. Chapter 2 is also my favorite chapter because it's when my 2 favorite characters pop up. But we'll figure out a time for the next story time, and we'll do it then. But the next characters we meet, I 1,000,000% absolutely adore them. They're the best. They're the best. This is horrible and you loved it? I don't see it as being horrible. I mean, maybe you're slightly embarrassed because like you think you write better and everything now, but like looking at it from one way, the way you write now and the story you're currently writing came from this, because it is the same story. It's the same, like this is the origin point, right? And this is where everything came from. This is where these are like the roots to the tree of post-fantasy, I guess you could say, right? So however embarrassing this may have been, however things may have changed, and however much things are kind of like in need of a rewrite and retcons here and there, this is still the origin point. And as messy and as flawed as it was back then, it still kept me interested long enough to care and be emotionally invested now. And I should say, these things, the parts of the story we've read today, were posted in the Discord like over a year ago. So the story has been going for a little bit. It's just like looking back at the first clay pot you made. You know, it's the first time you ever did, and it's the reason you are where you are. You're always looking at, wondering how to make it better. I mean, that's like me with art. I can look back at like all my oldest stuff. I can look back at stuff I did when I was like fucking 10, and it was literally all just like stick figures and like a whole mess of stuff on a page. Literally just like copying whatever the fuck I saw on whatever fucking anime I was watching at the time, whatever cartoons I was watching at the time, because like that's all I knew. And looking at that and going like, wow, that's pretty fucking cringe. But like at the end of the day, that's still kind of sort of like where you came from, in a sense. It's a part of the journey you've undertaken, to put it in like a really kind of sentimental way. So I don't know if I should mention the pattern, because I feel like the pattern was evident, but I think it might be more evident in the next chapter, because it gets a little actually, does it get a little no, actually, no, I'm right. It's evident in this chapter, but I think the pattern that I'm trying to point out with cruel reality popping in every once in a while is much more evident in chapter 2. The pattern and the problem I had with it is gonna be much clearer when we get to that part. So I'll leave that criticism for then. I was thinking maybe I could go over some of the side notes from the summaries I wrote up, because I was rereading this recently. I think I'll maybe hold off on that. I don't think that's really super important. What we came to do today was to take a look at the story, maybe criticize it here and there where we could. But so far, this forms, and I can't really point out anything without spoiling. I can't really point out like inconsistencies and stuff without spoiling things. So that's why I'm not doing it. So far, this forms the basis of the story that we're going to be going over through future story times. I do, and once we're done, I want to occasionally like revisit this and just keep going as the story continues, because I think that would be a good idea. That would be fun. But when is the next story time? I'm not sure. Maybe either next week or maybe in a couple weeks from now. I would be down for doing it next week. I would just have to make sure that like I'm not busy next week. What is next week? The 13th. We could just do this next week if I don't have anything going on. And hopefully I won't start late that time. I saw Bob gush and be thankful, and then he deleted it. Okay, so this part of story time, this is our basis. This is our introduction, our primer, if you will, into Touhou, a post-fantasy, an interactive fanfic by Bob. So when's Fight Night? What if we did that as a finale? What if we did that on like, oh shit, where's the calendar? What if we did that on August 27th? I don't know if that, the problem is like, okay, I'll have to, there were some votes for Fight Night, weren't there? There were some votes for Fight Night. I'm glad we're doing story time though. This was one of the things I wanted to do in lieu of Fight Night, so it's pretty good. It's pretty good. I'm gonna turn off the music for now because it's almost time to play us out. Sure, that'll be okay. We're going to hide this for now. We'll also hide this for now. And we'll get rid of the post-fantasy character, who shall, for the moment, remain unnamed because she's a spoiler. Storytime is cool. How about summertime story? What do you mean summertime story? That's basically what this would be. That's basically what this is. What the reading this fanfic is. What reading Bob's work is. Alternatively, what we could also do, or what we could have also done, how my rerun request is coming along, I haven't started it yet. I'll probably start that tonight before I go to sleep, or like tomorrow or something. I do need to do the event. Because I need the foes. I need the foes because Jolter and Erich Kegel, they're so close. They're so close to being maxed out. I almost have them at like I almost have them at 2,000. I almost have them both at 2,000 HP and 2,000 attack. They're both just stuck at 1,900 HP and 1,900 attack. I just need like 10 more gold foes, 10 more of each gold foe to bring them to the finish line, and then they'll be maxed out, and then they'll be all 100% like just raised, and like I don't have to worry about a thing anymore. And then I can start maybe investing in other servants instead. You're still feeling the pain? That was anniversary? Oh yeah. I remember how that went for you. That was kind of rough. That kind of sucked. Not maxed out until you get level 120. No, level 1. No, servant coins are cringe. Pont 15. Servant coins are cringe because you can't max out, because if they enter the equation, you can't max out unless you have like a fucking NP7 servant. That's like fucking stupid. That's stupid. That's cringe as fuck. Now, if they introduce like a 5-star foe or something, then maybe I'd agree with you. Anyway, that's gonna be it for now. Thanks for watching, for stopping by for chat, and see you all next time, unless Exceeded by T's first. Next time I see you is gonna be on Monday for E's Origin. For real this time. It's not gonna be Fate Go again. It's gonna be E's Origin this time, for real. 5-star foe does the job. On JP, ran out of foes for Arquade? Oh no. Dude, I need to save for Arquade. I've been memeing about her being in the game for so long, and I've wanted her in the game for so long, I gotta actually save for her now. Even though you have, like, the fucking Fairy Knight whatever things coming soon, it's like, I don't care. I'd rather have Arquade. I don't care if, like, Fairy Knight Lancelot's supposed to be, like, super good. I don't care if Fairy Knight Tristan basically looks like another Ellie. I want my 5-star Berserker Arquade, even though she's not Berserker, she's Moon Cancer, but I want my 5-star Arquade, okay? Anyway, next week, provided nothing comes up, maybe we'll do another story time. Maybe we'll get through chapter 2. Don't know if we'll get through all of chapter 3, so what we'll do, because I know chapter 3 and chapter 4 are going to be very long. So next week we'll do chapter 2, and maybe we'll do some of the side story stuff, some of the side story chapters, because that'll be fun to look through as well. But anyway, chapter 1,000,000. Look, well, actually no. From my understanding, okay, maybe these are slight spoilers, but from my understanding is that Bob wants the story to take place over the course of like a month. So like 30 to 35 days, give or take. That's kind of what he wants for the story. Don't know how it's going to ultimately go. So, in theory, the amount of chapters should number somewhere from like 29 to 34. Not counting the prologue. But I mean, you know, only time will tell. But anyway, Tack, if you are interested in the story, the link to read through this is in the description, or you can wait till next story time if you prefer. Bob does post, and he does write more like every other day in the art chat channel in the Exceeded Bytes Discord. And that is where you want to be if you want to actually like vote on like what happens next in the story, if you're interested. But anyway, that's gonna be it for now. But anyway, that's gonna be it for now. Thanks everybody for watching, and good night.